evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's Charles Phoenix, and we're back live in person here on YouTube for a big retro slideshow extravaganza extraordinaire called Addicted to Americana. Where do we begin to behold the glory of how much we love all things retro, mid-century, vintage, and everything else, all that kind of stuff? You guys, we might as well, seriously, not joking around, get it out in the open. Yeah, we have to get this out in the open right now, seriously. The pop culture explosion that rocked the United States in the 50s and 60s was second in scale only to the Big Bang. Never before or since has a society so cleverly fashioned such a supercalifragilisticexpialidocious buffet feast of colorful creativity, prosperity, and national pride. I know. So that is what this show is about. It's Addicted to Americana. I'm addicted to Americana, and so are you. And you guys, okay, I think I've lost my mind because I action-packed this show more than I've ever packed a show before. So it is going to be well, we're in for a big ride. Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! We are blasting off to my slide table, you guys. I began collecting other people's old Kodachrome slides in 1992. It was a game changer for my life in every way, every day. It inspired me to go out in the world and find out what's left of the spectacular mid-century era that, well, we are celebrating tonight. And I am very dedicated to it all. In fact, I've dedicated my life to it. So I gotta tell you, here we are at Shields Date Farm in Indio, California. And basically the story was I went there and the manager said, you know, we have old slides of Mr. and Mrs. Shields from back in the day because this place has been going since 1924. The sign that you see there is from 1952 and you can still go there to this very day. So I went there and I went back a few years later and that manager wasn't there. So I asked the new owners who were of the date farm, who were potato farmers from Idaho. I said, you know, your old manager said you had vintage slides of Mr. and Mrs. Shields. Could I see them? They're like, right this way, please. And so I go in there, and they said, you can borrow some, but you can't have them. I said, okay, fine. So I borrowed about 8. I put them in a little vintage slide box, and I went outside, and as I was going outside to get in my car, these nice tourists from Missouri said, excuse me, can you take our picture, please, in front of the big knight in shining armor? I'm like, of course. So I go over there, take their picture. We had a conversation. I get in the car, and I leave, and I drive away on Highway 111, which is a very busy highway, and I reach over to look at the slides. I'm going to look at them as I drive, of course, and I'm like, oh no. I left them on the roof of the car, along with my loop that I look at the slides through. Oh, no. So I went back knowing that I would be able to find them, and I absolutely, well, here's what I had to do, you guys. I knew they'd be scattered out in the middle of Highway 111, so I ran out there, and I mean, when there's a will, there's a way. Like a cross between Diana Ross and the Supremes, Stop in the Name of Love, and Superman. I stopped 3 lanes of oncoming traffic going 60 miles an hour, and I found all the slides. Not one scratch on the slides. They were scattered all over the place, but yeah, my loop got hit by a car. So you guys, okay, here we are. I am in search east, west, north, and south, looking through the layers of time. This is Dayton, Ohio. And I was driving around after I went to the National Neon Sign Museum, or actually the Sign Museum, and I saw this on the side of a restaurant. I thought I had died and gone to heaven. I mean, how much do you love those, yeah, those. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I have died and gone to heaven, and who knew? God is a hamburger and a milkshake. I know. Welcome to Storybook Forest, where childhood is eternal and imagination is king. So actually, this is a storybook land in Ligonier, Pennsylvania, and it's still there. It's been there since 1956. So I called them up on the phone. I said, I found all these old slides of your place, and they said, oh, well, nothing has changed. You should come here and see everything. So I went there, and then when I was done, I'm like, what happened to the clown with the welcome? And they said, oh, well, we didn't tell you that. Termites ate him. So, but anyway, there are no guarantees in life. Everybody knows that. But somebody needs to tell that little girl, unless you're Michael Jackson, honey, please do not put your hand there when your picture's being taken. Hi, welcome to Fairyland Forest. That is not me, but it could be me. I would never be above wearing a striped tee over a simple black short. I love the shoes, the high top shoes. And anyway, yes. And of course, how much do you love, forget the kid, how much do you love the squirrel? I know. I love the fact that he's like got red lipstick on. He's cut the sleeves off of his shirt. He's got two big giant nuts there side by side, a smaller one and a bigger one. And judging by his pants, unfortunately, he suffers from enlarged scrotum syndrome. Here we are at Enchanted Forest outside of Salem, Oregon. It's been there since 1971. And this is where you go if you want to see, well, what happens when a pickle and a man have a baby. I know, my reaction was exactly like little Alice in Wonderland there. This slide is not about the colored turrets on the Storyland Florida castle. No, this slide is not about the big clown there. It's not about even the font, the candy stripe font. It's not about the little boy in the middle when someone said, walk way over there and I'll take your picture. No, this sign is all about that little, this slide is all about the little sign there on the left. And there it is now. You are now leaving the land of reality. Yes, we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to Disneyland. How much do you guys love the fact that the Matterhorn matches the shape of the bus stop sign? I know. Yes, Disneyland opened on July 17th, 1955. The world had never known a place before it or since like it, not even close. It was my favorite place to go as a child, and I still love to go there as an adult. Here we are on Main Street, USA. Yeah, some of the most fondly remembered days of my childhood and eagerly anticipated were spent at Disneyland. We went there a lot, and basically, I learned at Disneyland. I learned more there than I did at school, seriously. And without it, I would not be the human being that I am today. I can tell you that for sure. So also, I will have you know that, well, the first time I ever went there without my family, I was 14 years old, and there was 6 of us, and we were walking out, and this girl Debbie that was in our little group, she said, you know, we didn't get any souvenirs. We can't leave without any souvenirs. And we all looked at each other and like, well, I don't have any money left. I don't have any money left. I don't have any money left. Well, I didn't have any money left either. So she said, well, that's never stopped me. She said, here's what we're going to do. Separate, take some time, go in, get what you've been eyeing all day, walk out with it, and we'll meet back here. I thought, what? I wasn't raised shoplifting. I can't do this. I can't do this. So they all went their way. I don't know what happened to them. And I kind of walked around the main square there, and I thought, well, I wasn't raised this way, but first time for everything. So I went in there and I grabbed that 14-inch Dumbo doll that I'd been eyeballing all day, and I remember I put it on my arm as though it were a child, and I thought if anybody sees me, they'll just think this is my baby. I'm a 14-year-old with a baby that looks like a Dumbo. So I walked out to the town square, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting for them, like, where are they, where are they, where are they? Finally, they didn't show up, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but this doesn't feel right to me. I don't like the fact that I just thrift shop. Thrift shop? No, that's another story altogether, thrift shopping. Not thrift shop. I shoplifted at Disneyland, but it didn't feel right. So I marched myself right back in there, and I put that Dumbo right back where I got it. I marched back outside there in the town square, and I waited and waited and waited for my friends. Finally, a lady came over to me, and she said, are you looking for your friends? And I'm like, yeah. And she said, well, they went to Security Land. So anyway, here is a mother and or a grandmother and a grandson there having a good old time. I love Minnie there, one ear in, one ear out. I don't know who did her makeup, but I love the rouge. I love the fact they plucked her eyebrows and painted them all the way up there like the girl that waited on me at Target recently. Yes, we love Disneyland. We do indeed. And here in front of the House of the Future, you find the 3 pigs. How much do we all seriously love anytime you go to Disneyland to see a walk around? I know. So anyway, I love the shape of their hats. I love their outfits. I mean, I would dress this way if I could, but I can't, so I don't. But anyway, yeah, the House of the Future, you guys. I mean, that is the one thing at Disneyland that I really wish they would bring back. It was at the entrance, well, it was actually, yeah, at the entrance of Tomorrowland near the castle between 57 and 67. It was a walkthrough exhibit that showed you all the marvels of the modern world, of the way you were going to live in your House of the Future. And what's ironic about the House of the Future, you guys, is that it still looks futuristic. Here is the living room now. And how much do you love the gentle curve of that buttery sofa, those dried flowers, somebody was channeling the 1970s, that swivel chair on the left, that beautiful mid-century modern sculpture on that surfboard of a coffee table, and of course, the big screen television. Isn't that gorgeous? They predicted that, I know. And the kitchen, you guys. Okay, this is, I gotta tell you, seriously, not joking around, pictures, slides of the kitchen, or any pictures of the kitchen of the House of the Future, any interior shots are very, very rare. As I said, it was there from 57 to 67. So I love the stripes on the right there. I love that flamingo pink and orange little back and forth they're doing there. That cabinet pulled out there like that. And then up on the upper left, you can see what looks to be a dispenser of like ketchup, mustard, tartar sauce, and mayonnaise. I know. Anyway, so yeah, really super rare to find these pictures, but I'm delighted to share them with you today. This must be the little boy's room. He has a little freeform sofa that is covered with plastic. Apparently he was a sofa wetter. I love the princess telephone, the lady in the tramp looking up at that piece of furniture going like, shouldn't there be a piece of glass on this? And then of course, a little computer table over there. And how about the dodo bird print curtains, you guys? Oh yeah, open those curtains and what might you see? Well, we are now having a rare look in Fantasyland at some time about October 1964, which was a rare moment in Disneyland history when the Skyway buckets changed from the original round ones with the low sides to the square ones with the high sides. And yes, that is Captain Hook's tuna boat right there. That is where, when I was a kid, we always had lunch there every single time, and they had things on the menu like, well, they had oyster stew, and they had the tuna sandwich and hot tuna pie. How long has it been since you've had a hot tuna pie? Anyway, so yeah, the Skyway is no longer there, but it went up in 1956, and it went down about 20 years ago, but we loved it. Now, according to the legend, I never partook, but apparently this was the best place in Disneyland if you wanted to smoke the medicinal stuff. That's where you would do it, right there. Looks like Grandma and Grandpa have had a few puffs, doesn't it? Anyway, or I don't know who these people are. I don't know if this is their first date and he has a thing for Little Bo Peep or whatever, but I love her look, don't you? Yes, you do. I know you do. Here we are in the original Tomorrowland, promoted as the world of 1986. How much do we love the world of 1986? On your left, Circarama. That was the precursor to my second favorite all-time attraction at Disneyland, America the Beautiful, the movie in the round. Remember that? On your right, Monsanto's Hall of Chemistry, which was a walkthrough exhibit that showed us how much chemicals were going to revolutionize the way we all lived our lives. In the middle, well, besides the pole there, I know, don't you love the pole? In the middle is the clock of the world, which told the time everywhere in the world. And of course, as the crowning touch, the centerpiece and the logo of the original Tomorrowland. Back there in the back, you can see the TWA, rocket to the moon, yes. Well, I don't know about you, but I find this to be completely like hypnotizing, mesmerizing, and spellbinding in every way, every day. And so when I heard that when they put this in Tomorrowland, when TWA said, when Howard Hughes, who was then the CEO of TWA, said, if I'm going to pay for that, then I want you to make me one too, Walt Disney. And so Walt Disney said, fine, I'll make you one too, no problem. We'll make two of them. One will go in the park, and Howard Hughes said, yeah, and the other one's going to go on the roof of the headquarters of TWA in Kansas City, Missouri. So that's exactly what happened. It went up there, and it was up there for a long time in Kansas City. Well, I don't know what happened to the one in Disneyland. It's long gone. But I heard the one in Kansas City wound up to have a second life as marking the entrance of a motor home factory in suburban Kansas City, and that it was still there. So, of course, when I heard that, I'm like, that's it. I'm getting on an airplane. I'm going to Kansas City. I'm going to find that other rocket ship, the other TWA rocket to the moon. So I landed at the airport. I got out at the airport, and as I'm leaving in my rental car to go find it, I see this. This is a Constellation airplane, ladies and gentlemen, before the jet age, before the first jet passenger plane took off from San Francisco International Airport in 1959. The Constellation was the most glamorous way to fly. Indeed it was. Yes, as a matter of fact, they made 958 of these in Burbank, California between 1946 and 1957. And here is one of the finest last survivors of this amazing jet. Oh, no, prop plane. It has props. You know, that, yeah. And the three tails. Are they gorgeous or what? So I went there. So I saw it. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to pull over right now and see this on my way to see the rocket. So I pulled over, and there was a lady there who happened to be a former stewardess, and she's like, come on in, come on in. So I went in there, and I saw the whole thing and everything, and I said, this is so wonderful. I love that you guys have preserved this and all that. And she goes, and then I said, I'm on my way to find the TWA rocket to the moon that I heard about that is in suburban Kansas City. Have you ever heard of that? And she's like, oh, yes, I know all about it. I'm like, you do? I said, well, don't tell me where it is because I want to play detective, so I better go now. I got to go find it. And she goes, no, I really want you to come around to the other side of the museum. I really want you to come around to the other side of the museum. I want you to see the grand entrance. It's really nice. You'll like it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll come back tomorrow, whatever. She says, no, come around today. And what did I find? There it was, right there. She said, oh, we just got it. We just got it from the RV manufacturer. So anyway, yeah, the motorhome manufacturer. So when you're in Kansas City, there it is at the Airline History Museum. Also on the wall was this. So I love old airplane food. I mean, remember airplane food, you guys, when they actually used to serve you stuff? We never liked it, but we ate it anyway. You know why we ate it, don't you? Because we were bored. I know. So what I think they should do now is we don't care about them serving us that food anymore because we never liked it, but why don't they just go up and down the aisle and show us, like, fake versions of what they used to serve? I know. And also, the other thing is, why don't they dress up in the old vintage stewardess uniforms and give us a fashion show? I mean, come on. So anyway, so after I was done at the Airline History Museum, I thought I'd celebrate and have a donut. So I went to one of my favorite donut stands in the known universe. Every city that I go to, I always go for the classic donut stand. And in Kansas City, it's John's Space Age Donut Shop. So I met the son. This is the John Jr. And I said, hi, by the way, I just have to ask you, who designed that creative design genius logo of yours of the man on the rocket ship flying through the donut? And he was like, that was my dad. Well, I mean, he deserves an award for that. Isn't that gorgeous? I know. Okay, you guys, seriously, not joking around. We might as well get it out in the open. This is major. This is real. This is deep. This is Randy's Donuts in Inglewood, California, located just blocks from Los Angeles International Airport. Yes, indeed it is. And here is what you need to know about Randy's. And this is real, you guys. Seriously, I've studied, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is the most significant retail building of the 20th century. Yeah, you heard it. Where else can you go where form follows function so divinely, has a walk-up and car culture drive-through? Yes, Randy's at LAX, near LAX since 1951. Oh, you wanted to drive through to the donut. Well, fine, you guys. Okay, so in the realm of drive-through car culture of ours, you know, we love to drive through and everything. This is the greatest drive-through experience on the planet. Yes, it is the donut hole in La Puente, California. There is no such thing as somebody coming from out of the country or out of state that I do not take here and say, this is the ultimate car culture drive-through experience. Yes, it is, and you can go there now. It's been there since 1968. One day, I dream of taking this to the donut hole. Yes, I do indeed. It is the most famous advertising vehicle ever in the history of known advertising vehicles, ladies and gentlemen. Say hello to, wait, I better calm down. No, we're fine. Say hello to, you know what it is. You do, and you love it too, because it's an icon. An American icon of the absolute highest order. Not to mention a mid-century modern masterpiece. Yes, This is the Wienermobile, one of 5 made in 1952 on the flattened chassis of a Dodge. I know. Thankfully, the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan saved the last one and gleefully put it on display for us all to stand there in awe of and have that I'm so proud to be an American moment. Isn't it gorgeous? I know. Well, the Wienermobile still exists, and I'll never forget the day my friend Allie Willis called me up, and she said, I want you to come and take a ride with me on the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. I said, I'll be right there. So I went there, and so she happened to live in the San Fernando Valley, and the driver of the Wienermobile said, where do you want to go? And I said, let's go to Circus Liquor in North Hollywood, where that big giant clown has been serving up thrills since 1959. And I said, can you just pull up right there a little? And I hopped out. Yeah, my brain was fried, kind of like it is right now. But anyway, I hopped out and captured this picture. And then when you're done, they give you a parting gift, you guys. Yes, a little Oscar Mayer Wienermobile dildo. Yes, on wheels. And you want a hot dog? Fine, we'll have hot dogs. In my hometown of Ontario, California from 1950 to 1960 was this, the hot dog show. I actually got this slide taken in the 1950s from the lady who owned the hot dog show. And well, that's how I know. Burned to the ground, 1960, grease fire in the kitchen. But anyway, never mind grease fires in the kitchen. I wonder if she ever stood back and saw what her art director gave her. Looks like a rather large person wearing striped tights, squatting over the entire operation. I know, making those hot dogs wearing angel wings and halos very unappetizing. Okay, the hot dogs continue. One of the great buildings of Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, since 1946. Say hello to, yeah, Tale of the Pup. So anyway, it went away probably about 10, 11, 12 years ago, and I wanted to know where it went. Oh, it's coming back, by the way. But anyway, I wanted to know where it went, so I tracked down the owner, and I said, I heard you have it in storage. He's like, yeah, I have it in storage. And I said, well, could I see it? He goes, well, I've had a lot of requests for people who want to go see it. I said, but I really want to see it. He's like, well, okay. So he said, come pick me up, drive me down there, and I'll show it to you. So we went to the storage facility, and there it was under a big blue tarp, being fairly well preserved. And so I'm like, well, thank you so much. And I said, I'm going to drive you home now. But because you were so nice to me and you showed me the Tale of the Pup, I want to buy you lunch. There's a lovely classic steakhouse where we can have a nice steak sandwich for lunch. And I'd like to suggest that. And he goes, no, I don't want steak sandwich for lunch. I said, well, what do you want then? Whatever you want. He said, I want a hot dog for lunch. So we went to the Wiener Schnitzel. Speaking of the Wiener Schnitzel, this is not schnitzel. This is, well, check out our sausage. I was in Portland, Oregon, and I went to the old market, the Sheraton Fruit Company Market. Yeah, and what to my wondering eyes should appear, how much do we love, first of all, you guys, window painting is so underrated. Yeah, window painting. You heard me. How much do we love window painting? We see it mostly at Christmas, but this is a really amazing window painting. Only one note that I would tell the person, like when you're painting like a hot dog or whatever, no need to put like speckles on it or whatever. If you want speckles on your sausage, you gotta go here. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are in Chicago at Rosario's family sausage place. And I went there, and this was the daughter of Mr. Rosario, Ms. Rosario. And I said, can you please pose for me by holding up some sausage? And she said yes. And I said, then can you please tell me the story of your amazing vintage neon sign out front of the building? She said, that came to my father in a dream. I'm like, well, it must have been a nightmare, because you guys look at the sign. It's a bunch of little piglets jumping into a meat grinder. Coming out the other side is spelling out the word sausage. So actually, unfortunately, just a couple of years after I visited Rosario's, they are no longer in business. But I hope that sign is somewhere in safekeeping, because it is a world-class national treasure, as is this. We are at the Charcoal Oven, ladies and gentlemen, in Oklahoma City. Yeah, we are. And this was built in 1958. And where do we begin to behold the glory of how gorgeous this sign is? Actually, this too came down recently, but it's being saved, preserved for future generations who so richly deserve to experience the glow of warm vintage neon, the artistry of that C, that H, that everything about it. And how much do you love the B on hamburgers that wants to be a giraffe? I know. We haven't even talked about the chef. Don't you love the fact that he drew like blue eyeshadow all the way around his eye and streaked his hair to match? Yeah, I know. And of course, you don't think we're going to talk about this slide without mentioning the all-new for 1959 98 Cena Coupe by Oldsmobile. Yes, indeed. But we're not talking about Oldsmobiles right now. We're talking about more drive-thrus. Jack in the Box started in Southern California, in San Diego, in the year of 1951. And here we have arrived. So actually, this body style, the actual box itself, did not come until 1958 when, well, what happened is that the people in San Diego said, you know, you've got that big tall sign up there, and actually we're doing away with the big tall signs. You're going to have to take that down. The owners at Jack in the Box are like, oh no, what are we going to do? We need signage up there. So they decided to put 4 billboards around their little stand, and well, they turned their Jack in the Box into a box, and as you can see, it is international mid-century modern style, divine perfection. And I don't know who did the color coordination, the color theory on those color blocks, but they are hypnotizing, spellbinding, and mesmerizing, quality insured hamburgers. Oh, you didn't want to go to the Jack in the Box. You wanted to go to the Munch Box. No problem. Here we are. Yes, since 1956 in Chatsworth, California. This is, you guys, I mean, how much do we love any fast food stand? Homespun and family run from the original family since 1956 till now in Chatsworth. As I said, you can go there, the Munch Box. You can stand there and behold the glory of that big word Munch Box. I know. Okay, fine, you wanted a hot dog, fine. We'll go to Downey, California, yes, and that is where you will find, actually, no, this is long gone. I don't even know how long it stayed there. The gay dog was probably there. It's about from 1967 to, I don't know, maybe early 70s. It was across the street, of course, from the lesbian cat. Also in Downey, you will find this. The world's oldest McDonald's. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, McDonald's started in the year of 1948 in San Bernardino, California. Wait, do I need to calm down or what? I'm like shouting. No, it's fine. Let me take a drink of water for a second. How's everybody doing? Are you doing good so far, you guys? How much do we all love, like, mid-century, all this stuff? I know. Anyway, maybe you might have a snack at home right now, too. But anyway, we're not talking about snacks. We're talking about fast food. Yes, the McDonald's brothers revolutionized the food service industry when they basically didn't invent fast food, but they perfected it. And in 1952, 4 years after they started in San Bernardino, they went to an architect and they said, we want a building that people will recognize from a block away. Even if they don't know how to read, they'll know what it is. And this is what he came up with, the Golden Arches. Behold the glory of this, one of the great icons of the known universe right here in Southern California, in Downey. And when you go to Downey, make sure to go there and savor the glory, behold the glory, and glow within the realm of those golden arches. Okay, speaking of golden arches, you guys, so this is the theme building at LAX. Yes, it is the age of space, and we have just landed at LAX, and this is the theme building, the centerpiece and the crowning touch of the 1961 jet age expansion of LAX. And yeah, seriously, it is the second greatest outer space age science fiction design building in the, well, in the world. I almost said the United States, but we might as well get it out in the open. Talk about mid-century modern masterpiece. This is it. You know what, though? It used to have a restaurant up there at the top. You know, that big, like, giant soup bowl was a restaurant, but no more. It's just sitting there. But I wait for the day that somebody comes along, like maybe McDonald's, and paints it yellow and makes a McDonald's drive-thru. How perfect would that be? I know. Speaking of, okay, here we are, you guys. We are in Florida, Lakeland, Florida. How much do we love Florida? Where do we begin? This is the most elaborate googie goo-gaw of a sign ever built for any shopping center ever in the history of the known universe. A wingspan too big to measure. I can't believe that it hasn't flown away. And that big giant arch and those letters up there that say Southgate. Yes, it was featured in the movie Edward Scissorhands, and I recommend highly that you stand there beneath it in all of its glory next time you are in Florida. Here we are in Veneta, Oklahoma. This is the Glass House Restaurant. It's a bridge over, you can't really tell there, but that's actually a highway, the Will Rogers Highway. Cars are going underneath it. Anyway, so yeah, and as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful. So I went there and I visited it, and then I thought, gosh, if they painted those yellow, these would be the world's biggest golden arches. A few years later, I went back. Well, I'll be darned. Life is full of surprises, isn't it? I know, it became a golden arches. So anyway, yeah, you just never know. Also, you guys, in Oklahoma, speaking of, in Oklahoma City is where you will find this, the first Christian church built in 1958. It is the giant church of the boob. Yes, indeed it is, as you can tell, and it is still there in all of its boobalicious glory. So I went there, actually did a slideshow there inside, and of course I felt the presence of the universe and all the forces of wonderfulness while I was inside of that church, because it was so wonderful. And then I thought, I don't know, the spirits moved me, and I thought, well, I better go, I'm gonna see what kind of dishes they have in the kitchen. So I went in there, they still had their old dishes, you guys. Syracuse, it's called Atomic Festival, I think this pattern is called. But it's very avant-garde, isn't it? I know. And also, if you want a cup of coffee, you can, uh-oh, I went too fast. There we go, sorry. There it is, Atomic Festival by Syracuse. How much do we love vintage pottery and restaurant ware, you guys? I know, speaking of restaurants, this has nothing to do with a restaurant. This, I believe, is the Santa Onofre Nuclear Power Plant Visitors Center. So I was told, even though I'm not totally sure about that. But this is not about nuclear power. This slide is about, well, I'll never forget my aunt had that exact same 1958 Ford in that same exact color. And on my 8th birthday, she came to our house to take us to Disneyland. And it was missing a wheel cover. And the whole time I was riding to Disneyland, I'm like, I cannot believe I'm going to Disneyland on my birthday in a car missing a wheel cover. But anyway, never mind that. This slide also, I also can identify with this slide because that dress that woman is wearing is the exact same dress that my mother wore, well, when we were in the Sears parking lot at a petting zoo in Pomona, and a goat ate a hole in the back of that dress. I'll never forget when she turned around and discovered, she's like, oh, a goat is eating a hole in my dress. Anyway, that's where I found this car. In that parking lot in Pomona at Sears was this, the 1959 Dodge Coronet convertible. So you guys, if you want something in life, play detective to find it, go after it. That's what I did for this car. Yes, I saw it in the parking lot when I was a teenager. It was there every day because the lady worked there, and I used to pass the Sears when I went thrift shopping in Pomona, ditching 5th and 6th in high school. And so I thought I could learn more in thrift shops than I could at school, which frankly I think I did. Yeah, my main education, you guys, seriously, was not school. My main education was my dad's used car lots, Disneyland, shopping malls, and thrift stores. That's my education. That's where I needed to, that's where I learned everything that I ever needed to know. But anyway, so I found this car in the parking lot. Years later, like 7 years later after I had last seen it, I went back to that Sears to find it. Well, that Sears had gone out of business and moved to the Montclair Plaza. So I thought, I'm not gonna let that get me down. I'm gonna start calling anyone that I can. I'm gonna find out who worked at Sears like all those years ago and who is gonna know who drove this car. Well, I started making phone calls and did you work at Sears in the late 80s? And you know, or no, the early 80s, because that's when it was. And they're like, yes, I did. And I said, do you know who drove? And I told them about the car. Finally, some lady said yes. So they gave me her address and her phone number. I called her up. She wasn't home. I went over to her house. And, well, she wasn't home. So I went to the garage door, to the side door, and I thought, the garage door is unlocked. I walked in the garage, and there it was, with a car cover over it, with the fins poking through. And she said to me, oh, no. So what happened? No. Then she comes around the corner, and she's like, oh, like she thought I was going to rob her or something or steal her car. I'm like, you know, I'm not going to rob you. I'm not going to steal your car. I want to buy your car. She said, I've been waiting for someone just like you to come along. So anyway, so I had the car for a few years. Then I sold it to a Texas oil millionaire, and there's been no trace of it since. So if you know where my 1959 Dodge Coronet convertible is in pink and coral, I want it back. This is not the Sears in Pomona. This is the Sears in North Hollywood, California. This is Sears Valley Plaza, built in the year of 1954. And as you can see, it is a mid-century masterpiece of the absolute highest order. You guys, so what is mid-century? As a style, mid-century is very minimalist. Form follows function. And this store, form follows function. It is a virtual warehouse for every good and need that you have to build your life. Sears has it all. Sears started, the first store they ever had was Chicago, 1925. And I remember I used to shop at Sears. Well, I mean, my mother bought my Husky Boy jeans at Sears when I was a child. And if I was well behaved when we went there, we would go by the candy counter on the way out. Yeah, do the math. Anyway, so, but I love this Sears so much, those twin palms there as a dramatic accessory. And of course, Sears, written out in the font of optimism, the script of style, just like your lesbian aunt's handwriting. Anyway, I know, isn't it gorgeous? Just like a title on a movie screen. Speaking of movie screens, this is the drive-in theater that I grew up with in Compton, California. Yes, straight out of Compton, that Compton. My mother happens to be from Compton. And so when I was a little kid, we used to visit my grandparents in Compton. And this was right up the street from their house. So I'd go over to their house, I'd walk outside and stare at the end of the block was this. I was hypnotized and spellbound by those beautiful Viking ships, wouldn't you be? Well, anyway, long years after my grandparents were long gone and they'd moved away from Compton, I thought to myself, this was the early 90s. I said, I'm gonna go back to Compton and see if that drive-in, if the Compton Drive-In movie theater, built in 1948, by the way, it was still there. So there it was. I couldn't believe it. And then I was like bragging around town, oh, I found this amazing vintage drive-in movie theater in Compton and everything. And then I started to think to myself, I didn't take pictures, because that was before we all had phones and we were taking pictures of everything. I thought to myself, wait, did I really see that? Was I dreaming? Did I make that up? I better go back. Well, I went back. What do you know? They had just bulldozed the whole thing. The whole screen tower was in crumbles all over the parking lot. Oh dear. Well, nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. However, the Parkette Drive-In in Lexington, Kentucky has been there since 1951, and behold the glory of their spectacular vintage neon signage with that, don't you love that P, Arquette? Don't you love any word that ends in et? I know. Chicken, shrimp, and fish boxes. Yeah, they serve it all in a box, and it's absolutely, well, it's absolutely delicious. And you guys, the pièce de résistance, the crowning touch of this sign, of course, is that car hop up there, reaching out to you to deliver your food to you in your car. Yes, the Parkette Drive-In, long may it stand in Lexington, Kentucky. Now here I am in Wall Township, New Jersey, and as you can see, I mean, yeah, the Circus Drive-In, the absolute, when I visited this is about 2016, I think, I said to myself, well, there's no doubt about it, this is the absolute most precious drive-in restaurant left standing in the United States. It was built in 1954, and as you can see, the building is like a circus tent and everything. I mean, it had all the trimmings and everything, but the crowning touch, of course, was this beautiful clown sign. I love the glittering letters, I love the font, I love the drive-in, I love the arrow, I love everything about it. I mean, don't you? I know, unique in all the world, one of a kind, as all these signs are. So anyway, so he says, yes, we are open July 4th. Maryland jumbo soft shell crabs. I said, I'll have the specialty of the house, and here it is. By the way, it always surprises me when I go somewhere with somebody or a group of people where they have like a specialty of the house and someone orders, like if you go to a hamburger place, don't order a taco necessarily. If you go to a steakhouse, don't order seafood. But anyway, here it is. This is the deep fried, golden delicious everything, French fries, giant onion ring, and that Maryland soft shell crab. Well, after I devoured it all and every bit of all the extra craft cocktail sauce that I asked the waitress for, here comes the waitress back again, and she said, would you like dessert? And I said, as a matter of fact, I would, thank you. She said, what would you like? I said, what is the specialty of the house? And here it is. Yes, came this soft serve served upside down. You guys, wait, is this genius or what? With sprinkles on whipped cream on the sides and everything. And I looked at the little clown ice cream upside down, and I said, wait a minute, clown. You don't look very happy. What's wrong? You're sad. Well, little did I know that the clown knew something that I didn't. Just a few months later, the Circus Drive-In closed and was demolished. Nothing lasts forever. Thankfully, Pancake Circus in San Francisco is still standing in all of its glory. Don't you love that neon sign? He goes, Pancake Circus. Isn't that, well, where do we begin? Inside, this is the official greeter. Please wait to be seated. I mean, life is wonderful, you guys. Cherish every moment of it. Our time here is brief. Look at him. He knows that. Well, you know what I love about Pancake Circus, you guys, more than the pancakes themselves, is the fact that it is part coffee shop, diner, part art gallery. On the wall, they have a collection of clown paintings, including this one by Chagall. This is probably worth like $100 million. And this one by Picasso, more even. I know, priceless. So I heard when I went to Pancake Circus that sometimes the Sacramento Clown Club gathers there. So I thought, well, I definitely want to be there when they're there, but I don't know what day that is. So I called up the Clown Club and I said, if you guys show up, I'll buy you breakfast. Voila, there they were. I had breakfast with the Clown Club at Pancake Circus. Ain't life grand, you guys? Yeah, and how much are you loving that 1956 Nash in pink, gray, and white? Behold the glory. While I was in San Francisco, okay, you guys, everybody doing okay so far? It's okay, good, we're fine. Anyway, so, okay, this one, this is major, this is real, this is deep. So I always go, everywhere I go to all the old school places in town. I go to find the places that make the town unique. I go to find the places that aren't what I can find in my own town. I want to see what's special about everywhere I go. So I go to places, I meet people, but I don't meet people like this very often. So I went to Sam's Half Brow, where they've been serving it up in Sacramento since 1959, and I arrived there in the parking lots, right out front, as you can see, is this. It is the 1956 Eldorado Seville by Cadillac. Yeah, and so I was mesmerized by it as I walked around. I did a few laps, like, you know, I mean, my brain was fried. I couldn't believe how rare and how lucky I was to happen upon this car. Well, I went in there, I got my sliced roast beef luncheon, I sat down, and halfway across the restaurant, I could not take my eyes off of this old man who had the most beautiful big white cowboy hat on, right, and red cowboy boots. And he was sitting directly across. I just stared at him the whole time. And I thought to myself, when he gets up and goes, I'm going to race over and say, excuse me, cowboy, I just want to tell you, you look amazing. So I thought, you know, he's an old guy, and, you know, he just radiates, like, he was just radiating, and I just wanted to talk to him. So I didn't even, I went over, he walked across the restaurant, leaving. I met him kind of by the front door. I didn't even get a word out of my mouth. And he said, my name is Curly Bunfill, and I'm 100 years old. And yes, it's mine. Well, anyway, so of course I ended up talking to him. Yes, he's 100 years old. Legendary movie star Rita Hayworth gave him the car, he said, in 1956, because he was a stuntman in the movies. And so anyway, that was 7 years ago that I met Curly Bunfill. And let me tell you something. 6 months ago, his car was stolen. And yeah, Curly lived to know about it. It was recovered, and I want you to know Curly is alive and doing well right now in San Francisco at age 100. So Curly, if you're out there, I love you. You are amazing, and you are an inspiration to us all at 107 in your recovered 56 Cadillac Eldorado Seville. Okay, you guys, we're going to Mickey's. I went to Minneapolis. I was staying with a friend there, and I said to her, I said, oh, by the way, do you ever, like, go to St. Paul, which is, like, you know, their big other city right next door? And she's like, why would I go there? Well, anyway, I said because Mickey's Diner is there, Mickey's Dining Car, which has been serving it up since 1939. epic on every single level. I walked in the door. The lady who was at the cashier lady in the middle, was also taking the orders. She never moved from the cash register the whole time. She just yelled all the way down to the counter at us, "What do you have?" Well, I didn't realize that the food was going to be so good, but I have never had a better scrambled egg in my life. And so they had milkshake mixers, you guys, and they were mixing the eggs in the milkshake mixer. So, I mean, it made the eggs so light and fluffy, and everything else about this place. Mickey's Diner, St. Paul, highly recommend it. You want pancakes? Fine, we're gonna go to the House of Pancakes. Yes, started in Burbank, California, the year 1958. This is the 1960s body style of many of the House of Pancakes in Southern California, maybe in your state too. Anyway, we used to go there all the time when I was a kid, and they had 8 flavors of syrup on the table. I would pour them all over my pancakes. I didn't care what kind of pancakes they were. They had them all. Who knew that the pancake could be so internationalized and make the world a smaller place? But anyway, and there's a few of these buildings still left, actually. This is one in Riverside. It is no longer a House of Pancakes, but it's some mom and pop diner or whatever. So I went in there and everything, and I'm all excited, and I started taking pictures of the place, and the lady owner comes over to me, and she's like, "Why are you taking so many pictures of the inside of my restaurant?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I like vintage architecture, and this is an old House of Pancakes, and it's really rare, and it has an A-frame and everything." She's like, okay. And then I'm like, oh, no, she's like, "Well, may I take your order?" And I said, "Yes, I would like 2 pancakes, please, with a face on them." And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Pancake with a face on it?" And she's like, "Excuse me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, a pancake with a face on it." So I do this. This is like a social experiment that I do in every coffee shop, everywhere I go. I order pancakes with a face on it. And every single time, without failure, the waitress walks away murmuring murmuring to herself, "Why would a grown man want a face on a pancake?" So anyway, you never know what you're going to get. Well, this was the first time I got a blank. And I'm like, excuse me. And she comes running over. I said, and as politely and poised and as dignified as possible, I said to her, I ordered a face on the pancake. "Oh, I'm so sorry. So she comes back, and she tries to fix it up for me. And here it is. Yes, a big whipped cream smile, 2 strawberry eyes, and a big doo-doo nose. And then she leans over, and she says, will you take my picture too, please?" And I'm like, "Of course, honey." And so we take the picture, and then she leans on in real close, and she says, "By the way, I'm single." And I'm like, okay, at that point, my brain exploded, of course, because I thought, imagine how beautiful our children would be. Yes, Bob's Big Boy, invented in, how much do we love Bob's Big Boy, you guys? This is Bob in Burbank, California, and the original Bob Big Boy was in Glendale, started in 1936, and that is the place that invented the double-decker hamburger before the Big Mac was the Big Boy. So yeah, the Big Mac is kind of a ripoff of the Big Boy, but never mind, no one's pointing fingers or anything. We're just celebrating the glory of Big Boy right there, and I don't know why somebody put marshmallow cream on his eyebrow, but we're not talking about that first. But I thought to myself, if we're gonna have children, we gotta get married first. So anyway, you guys, I am all about tradition. I love traditions. I love to see traditions continue. I love to see them evolve. I love to see them be reinvented, move forward. Well, I think this would be a wonderful tradition, and I love to learn from the old slides, and this could be a perfect slide to learn from. Yes, it could, you guys. Get your crazy uncle, when you're getting married, get your crazy uncle to stand between 2 pews or whatever it is so everyone can enter the church and walk underneath them. It'll be perfect, right? And by the way, no, you don't need to worry about spending a fortune on every plate of food for everyone to have food, because we're not doing that anymore. No, those days are over. Finito. Finished. No, what we are doing, you guys, is serve people what they really want. Sliced ham with a lot of fat, some Swiss cheese, some pickles, some mustard, stacks of white bread, a big pot of pork and beans. That's what people really want. You know that. And then you don't need to rent a dance hall either. How about a basement, a backyard, a patio? You don't need to spend a fortune on decor either. No, crepe paper streamers and those accordion tissue bells. They're like $2.79 each. Yes, we don't need to spend so much on our weddings. And of course, you don't need to get a professional wedding photographer either. No, you don't. I love this wedding portrait. I've seen many, but this is my favorite. The groom looks like he's been in a fight the night before. He's looking at his dad. His dad's looking at his mother. His mother's looking at us. The bride and her father are looking at, I don't know what they're looking at, but I'm looking at the bride's dad's new boyfriend. I know. Isn't she gorgeous? Indeed. Okay, you guys, so I love roadside travel. I go and search east, west, north, and south everywhere I go of the icons. And here is one right here in Cave Creek, Kentucky. Yes, indeed, it is. This is the Wigwam Village Motel. It was the first of 9 built. It was built in about 1939, 1940. We still have 3 of the 9 left. One is in, Cave Creek, this one. We've got Holbrook, Arizona on Route 66. Also in San Bernardino, California, also on Route 66, another Wigwam Village. So we have 3, your choice of 3 to stay in. And when I stayed here, I was so excited. I finally arrived after years of anticipation, and I bounce out of the car, start running all over the place as usual. And but what I wasn't expecting is I'm looking around, all of a sudden, boom, right in front of me are these 2, Martha and James. Well, they told me, they said, this right here, very teepee, we spent our honeymoon here, our honeymoon night here 60 years ago. And then she went on to say that she raised 5 sons, or they raised 5 sons, and he worked on the assembly line at Frigidaire for 37 years. So I love James and Martha. And then all of a sudden, they said, will you take my picture, please? And I said, sure. So I said, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2. And as soon as I said 1, they turned to each other and gave each other a big kiss. Well, if they want to go somewhere else, they can go to the Madonna Inn to also celebrate. You guys, have you ever been to the Madonna Inn? I mean, there are no words to describe the Madonna Inn. Unique in all the known universe is this spectacular roadside hotel, coffee shop, dining room, candy store, bakery. It's got it all. Yes, and you have arrived. Here it is, and the favorite color there is pink. Yes, it is indeed. It was opened on December 24th, 1958, and here is the big dining room, the Gold Rush Steakhouse. Yes, it's more pink than gold, and it has a big tree in the middle, and there's no dining room like it anywhere in the known universe. And we might as well just give credit where credit is due. Uh-oh, what happened? There. Okay, sorry. This is Phyllis Madonna. She and her husband, Alex, opened the place together, and she is still there. Behold the glory of her. Without her, we'd never have the Madonna Inn and all of its uniqueness. It has, well, there are many things that it's famous for, the pink cake, and yes, the men's urinal. Don't ask, it's just a thing there. Because it's a waterfall, and everyone, male, female, has to go in the men's room and see the waterfall urinal. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact that Mrs. Madonna should have a crown on her head because she is a queen of kitsch. But really, it's more than kitsch. It defies definition. It is the fantasy land of roadside motels, unique in all the world. If you don't have a sweetheart to have a party with or have a dinner with or whatever, they will provide one for you. I couldn't believe, all the rooms, by the way, are different themes. There's like 110 rooms. They each have a different theme. There's the caveman room, you guys. I stayed in there once. It has like 9 waterfalls in it. Yeah, but this is like the Irish Hills suite. So anyway, so little did I know I was going to get a surprise roommate. Speaking of surprises, how much do we love Land of the Giants? Anything, giant scale, anything. You know those big muffler men, you guys? So they were all made, this is one of those, only in disguise as an alien, I guess, or a welder. Anyway, they were all made here in Venice, California, between 1962 and 1973. Each one that still exists is a world-class national treasure, not to mention a mid-century modern masterpiece. Yes, the giant muffler men. If you see one, you have stumbled upon true greatness. And good luck finding one of these. This is called Giganta. It is a playground. It's part giant bird cage, part jungle gym, part observation deck, and part part thrill ride. Those arms, yes, made by a company here in Southern California in the late 1960s. There were many of them in parks all over the place, but they're gone, except for I actually found one in suburban Fort Worth, Texas, in pristine condition. And if you happen to go to Fort Worth, you have not done it until you ride down. I almost got stuck in the arm, by the way, but never mind that. We're not talking about that. How much do we love muffler men? I know, I've always loved muffler men, always will. They are a byproduct of when you work in a muffler shop, when you're bored or don't have any business, you start welding pieces and parts together. Well, there's a place by me, Luis Lopez Automotive, and I love their muffler men so much. I go by them once in a while, and every time they bring me joy when I see them. It's the simple things in life. As they say, it's true. And by the way, Luis Lopez Automotive was the first place I ever saw one of these. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Philco refrigerator from the 1950s. And, well, you see that V handle? Yeah, it goes both ways. Open it this way, it goes this way. Open it that way, it goes that way. Open it together, and it'll fall off. That big, heavy door will fall off and kill you. You want to go both ways? Fine, you can in this. The 1957 Ford, I went to some classic car place in outside of Chicago, and they had this, and I had to find out what is the story. So anyway, it was a shop class in 1987 did this, but you don't know if you're coming or going. You want a 57 Ford? Fine, here's one right here. Yes, indeed it is. It is a 1957 Ford country sedan station wagon, dressed up in all of its glory with a matching canoe and this man mannequin who's fishing in the bushes. We are at the Miami Beach Auto Show, and how much would you love to take that fishing? I know. You like Fords? Fine. Oh, you do? You do, but you want a Dodge. Fine. Well, here is one of the ultimate Dodges of all time, you guys. It's a La Femme, made in 1955 and 1956. This was the car marketed to ladies only. Yeah. Anyway, as you can see, it is a wonder to behold in pink and white. And don't you love the house to match? So this guy came to my slideshow, it was like 20 years ago, and he said, you know, I have a Dodge La Femme. You'd probably like to see it since you like all the vintage stuff and everything. And I said, I would. Let me take your card. So, well, 17 years later, I called him, seriously. And I said, 17 years ago, you gave me your card, and you said you had a Dodge La Femme. Do you still have it? He said, yes, I do. I said, I'll be right over. So I went over there, and I said, why didn't you tell me you had an Art Deco streamlined modern house to match? He said, well, you didn't ask. So anyway, so here is the car. Yes, this was, as I said, a very special car for ladies only, the Dodge La Femme. It came with not only pink inside and out, it came with a matching umbrella, a matching raincoat, and a matching purse. So I said to the guy, I said, do you have the matching raincoat? He's like, no. I said, do you have the matching umbrella? He said, no. I said, do you have the matching purse? There it is, $495 on eBay. Behold the glory. This stuff is worth saving for future generations who haven't even been born yet, deserve to experience the glory of the wonder of it all. I know, speaking of the wonder of it all, it's Valentine's Day coming up, and we're getting ready, and so are they. I guess this is kind of their social distance version of Valentine's Day, but I love Valentine's Day, don't you? Because you know what I love more than anything about Valentine's Day? Candy, and lots of it. But more than anything, it's not just the candy, it is the box that the candy comes in, you guys. Those big, giant, heart-shaped boxes, where do we begin? The bigger, the better. I know. And I love here how one of the Brock's candy ads, by the way, Brock's was the first company to ever mass-produce candy. Thank you, Brock's in Chicago. Anyway, and I don't know who the ad agency was. Someone there was like, wait a minute, we'll spell I love you out in chocolate. Well, how genius was that? How joyful is it to see anything spelled out in chocolate? I know, especially when there's one of those heart-shaped boxes in the picture. And here's the exchange, the big moment on Valentine's Day. She's getting candy, and he's getting something else. And speaking of something else, here's something else, you guys. You know from time to time I like to get busy in that kitchen and rattle them pots and pans. Well, I rattled them pots and pans, cake pans, that is, and I came up with this. This is the cream-soaked cookie cake of love. Perfect for your Valentine's other dessert on Valentine's Day. Yeah, so anyway, the deal is, yeah, you can see the cookies there. Fudge stripe, Nutter Butter, Circus Animals, Famous Amos, chocolate chip, and of course, Oreos, the most popular cookie ever. And here they are. You break them up in little bits and you put them in the cake pan with cream. Yeah, cream. And you let them soak until they turn to goop. And once they become goop, then you pour a little cake batter in, like white cake batter, and then you pour the goop in, and then finish off, top it with more of the batter. And then when you're done and cut into it, you have this. Isn't that gorgeous, you guys? I know. So anyway, I will tell you that it is absolutely delicious, all of those cookies and all of those layers. I mean, it almost has, it's so rich. It has like almost a cheesecake-like texture. And yeah, of course, if you eat it, you die. But anyway, never mind that. Also, a main course. The other main course on Valentine's Day is this, the I Love You meatloaf. Yes, indeed, I Love Lucy inspired in every way. Anyway, it has bell peppers in 3 colors around it, Brussels sprouts, little tomatoes, and little bits of carrot decorating the outer edge, and of course the carrot spikes all the way around. And the crowning touch is that yellow bell pepper cut like a crown, 3 little Brussels sprouts, and most importantly, a crab apple. But oh, that's ketchup, of course, spread all over it. But don't forget the most important part. I love you. I do love you guys. I love you so much that I've got more. But first, we're going to take about a 5-minute intermission. I hope you're doing well. Get a drink, get another cocktail, snacks, whatever. More galore. I will be back in 5 minutes. See you then. back, a most gracious good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, before we go on with more Addicted to Americana, I want to tell you about the book Addicted to Americana. It is a photo fest extravaganza of many of the places that you are seeing in the show tonight, many that you are about to see, and things, a lot more that isn't even in the show. Over 500 images, makes a great gift, and we ship worldwide. So if there's anyone that you know that loves mid-century, kitschy, and classic American life and style, you need to have Addicted to Americana on. They need, and you do too, on your coffee table. So in the grand tradition of showmanship, exit through the gift shop on my website. Also, if you want the recipe for the the cream soaked cookie cake of love and the I love you meatloaf and lots of other recipes and all the other wild and wacky holiday traditions of the mid-century era that we all love so much because basically holidays are so retro. Also check out my holiday Jubilee book. Okay, you guys, with that said, we are ready to continue. The show must go on. We have arrived in, I believe it's Jeffersonville, Indiana, and we are at a candy store called Shrimp's. Yeah, Shrimp's. Wait, Shimps. It's the one word I trip up on. Well, I trip up on a bunch, but Shrimp's Candies. They've been there since 1895. Again, everywhere I go, every state I go, I'm always in search of the classic, all the vintage mom and pop places. And candy stores are always on the list. And this is one of the sweetest of all. I went there, and I didn't know they were going to be in the middle of a demo making their famous Red Hot candies. And I walk in the door, and this is the man. He's like the great-grandson of the original owner from 1895. Still running the place. Homespun and family run. Hero. You're a hero of mine, sir. Anyway, and there are the Red Hots that they've been making forever. That's a specialty of the house. And his wife was commentating over a microphone while he was going through the motions. There was this big crowd there. And when we walked in the door, you know, I was with some friends and stuff, and we threw the door open, and I was like, oh, and here we are. We've arrived, and this is so exciting. I'm so thrilled to be here. And all of a sudden I hear, shh. And she looks at me, and she says, I'm the only one that does the talking here. Well, I love to be shushed when I walk into a classic candy store, don't you? I know. Well, anyway, so also we were there not to only buy candy, see the candy demo, and bask in the glory of the glow of the layers of time of this amazing candy store. Yeah, Shimps. Anyway, so they also serve lunch. They have a little, like, dinette counter. And so, again, always the specialty of the house. In this case, this was the specialty of the house. Indeed it was. It's called the Benedictine sandwich. So I didn't know what I was getting, but first, before we talk about the Benedictine sandwich, why don't we talk about that plate? Talk about layers of time. I know. Anyway, where do we begin to behold the glory of how much we love anything with food coloring in it? Food coloring is the most underrated thing that we eat. Anyway, yeah, this is all it was, you guys, was cream cheese with pulverized cucumber in it. And, food coloring, of course. Absolutely delicious. Another one of the local foods, yeah, everywhere I go, I always say, what's the local food here? What is the local food? In Palm Springs and Indio, it's the date shake. In Los Angeles on Alvera Street, it's the taquito. And here I am on Alvera Street in Los Angeles at one of my favorite places to eat there, Cielito Lindo, which has been there since 1930-something. They have been perfecting the recipe of their taquitos, and there they are. And let me tell you something. They make some good taquitos. I cannot recommend it enough. So recently I was telling my mother about going there, and she goes, oh, I remember the first time we went there. I was with your Aunt Helen, and we went to visit your Uncle Luke. And I'm like, you went to visit Uncle Luke downtown? Well, Uncle Luke didn't work downtown. And she goes, no, Uncle Luke didn't work downtown. Uncle Luke was in jail. And I said, I didn't know Uncle Luke went to jail. She said, yeah, twice. And here we are in Chicago at the Rainbow Cone Company, where they've been serving up, the same family has been serving up the most unusual ice cream cone that I've ever had since 1926. Yeah, time-honored attractions. That's what we're going for here, you guys. Absolutely, in every day, every way. So it's a great goal to have in the world, to go in search of these places. It has enriched my life so much, and it's made it very sweet. I walk in the door of the original cone company going for one of these, which is chocolate, strawberry. They call the one in the middle Palmer House. It has walnuts in it, and cherries, candied cherries, and then pistachio and orange sherbet. Well, I'm kind of a purist. I don't necessarily like to mix up my ice creams except for Neapolitan, of course. I can tell you this flavor profile was absolutely out of this world delicious, like I could never believe. I've been craving one ever since. So I walk in the door, and I see on the menu right there, large or small, and without even saying a word, the lady holds one up. Here. And I said, is that a large or a small? She says, it's a large. I said, how'd you know I wanted a large? She said, I knew the minute you walked in the door. And here we are at Leon's Frozen Custard in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It just feels so good to just say Chicago, Milwaukee, Fort Lauderdale, New York, Dallas, San Francisco. I just love saying all those. It's like I should have been an announcer in a train station. But anyway, I'm not, because I'm here doing this. But anyway, you guys, the thing is, you go to Leon's Frozen Custard, absolutely the best frozen custard ever. Not to mention the fact that the frozen custard stand, as you can crystal clearly see, is a mid-century modern masterpiece of the absolute highest order. Divine in every detail. It's part frozen custard stand and part lighthouse. I know. Anyway, so I was with my friend, Jennifer Greenberg of Chicago, and she said to me, she said, let's order the banana split and split it. And I thought, splitting a banana split? Well, okay, even though deep in my soul, I was thinking to myself, you know, I'm kind of a purist. I want to just try the frozen custard all by itself. And anyway, so then when we got it, because I knew it was going to be delicious, because it is. But anyway, so then when we got it, I saw the peanuts on there, and every time you go to a ice cream place or whatever and they have those little chopped peanuts, oh, they're stale. And of course, I was right, they were very stale. But I didn't care, I ate it anyway, it was delicious. But I love the fact that one of the 3 cherries on top decided it couldn't take it anymore and just fell down. Well, I just about fell down one night when I was cruising on the internet looking for vintage kitchen classic Americana things, places, stuff, people, whatever, and along comes this image right in front of me. I'm like, what is this? The Merrymobile? This is like me in the form of a mobile. I've got to find one of these. What is it? So I found out that basically Merrymobiles were ice cream. They went around towns. There were 4 towns in the South. One of them which was Memphis. And they sold ice cream during the summers from 1957 or 58 until like 1973. So I thought, I'm going to find one of those. So I found out that there was one left in Memphis. And I thought to myself, I'm going to go find that. So I went on an airplane in Memphis. I got there. I went to Graceland, of course, as well. And let me tell you something about Elvis's house. It is way better than anyone's ever going to tell you. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to go on about Elvis's house right now, but you guys, you got to go to Graceland. Behold the glory. Anyway, but we're talking about the Merrymobile. So I go to Memphis to try to find the Merrymobile, and this was, I'm like, I'm not going to search on the internet or whatever. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to start asking around. So anytime that you want to find anything in a town, you got to go to the local donut stand in the morning about 8 o'clock, because that's where all the old men are, and they know everything. So I went there to the old donut stand, the oldest donut stand in town, and sure enough, there's a table of 8 old men, and I held up a picture on my iPhone, and I said, do you guys know where one of these is, a Merrymobile? And they said, oh, well, we all remember them, of course. Yeah, the kids loved them back in the day, and so did we. But yeah, we don't know where one is. They said, we believe that it was a golf cart under there. It was a golf cart and a patio umbrella had a baby. So go to the golf place. So I went to the golf place, and the ladies there sent me to the florist, and the florist sent me to the ice cream place, and the ice cream, because they sell ice cream or whatever out of the Merrymobile now. And so then the ice cream place sent me back to the golf cart place. Finally, the golf cart place said, well, we think it might be owned by a policeman. So I went to the police station in Memphis. I threw open the double doors, and I said, first thing, when you're from out of town, when I'm from out of town, which I am when I travel, well, yeah, of course, duh. Anyway, what I do, you guys, is before, you know, when you're going in search of things in a town where you do not live, the first thing you need to say is, I'm an out-of-towner. And let me tell you something. Out comes the red carpet and doors thrown open and people wanting to help you like crazy. I said, I'm an out-of-towner. So yeah, no, I'm at the police station. And so I go in, I'm an out-of-towner. first words. And 3 guys, 3 policemen behind the counter all look up and they go, yeah, we can tell. So I hold up my iPhone and I say, have any of you seen this? Supposedly it's the Merrymobile. It's owned by one of the policemen around here. And so they all start giggling and they go, yeah, that's Jack owns that. Yeah, so one of them's like, I'll call him right now. So he gets on the phone, Jack, there's some guy here who wants to see your Merrymobile. Well, I thought I was dreaming, of course. And then, what? You did? Oh, okay, I'll tell him. Click. So he said, oh, he sold that to somebody in Louisville, Kentucky. So I said, I've come all the way to Memphis, and I didn't get to see the Merrymobile. Well, anyway, I will not give up. So I found out 6 months later that the Merrymobile was going to be at a police fair in Louisville, Kentucky. So I got on a big jet plane and I flew to Louisville, Kentucky, and it was a police festival. It was me and 300 policemen. And so here it was, in all of its glory, the only one left in existence. And yeah, if you think this is something special, you are more than correct. Look at everything about it. It is like happiness in a cart. So I meet the guy. This is the guy. His name is Kelly, and he's the owner of it. And he said, I'm like, I said, I came all the way from California to see this Merrymobile. Because I said, this Merrymobile is a world-class national treasure, not to mention a mid-century modern masterpiece. He's like, calm down, calm down. He said, you know what? A lot of the policeman guys, they don't really get it, but I'm glad you get it. I like it too. It's really great. And I remember when I was a kid, and you wouldn't believe what I had to go through to find one of these. So anyway, so then we started talking, and blah, 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 Merrymobile this, Merrymobile that. And then all of a sudden he's like, I have to take a break now. Do you want to be the Merrymobile man? I got to be a Merrymobile man. You guys, life is full of surprises. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. We're back in Downey, California at the Columbia Memorial Space Center, and this is where you will find the command module, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, in Downey, California is where all 6 command modules were built that took man to and from the museum. I almost said the museum. To and from the moon. And yeah, the 6 times they went to the moon, they rode in this thing, and then they came back and splashed. So I went there and everything, and they have this little home movie going of like this astronauts when they came back from outer space. They had a party for them there in Downey where they built the command module. And here comes the first astronaut and his wife, and she had the biggest hairdo, the biggest, tallest hairdo I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't believe it. And then here comes the next astronaut on a golf cart with his wife, and hers was like Marge Simpson ×3. I don't know why I'm telling you that. Anyway, I just wanted you to know that the astronauts' wives had the biggest hairdos ever. Anyway, but we're not talking about astronauts right now or their wives. We're talking about pizza, and how much do we all love a good pizza pie? Yes, we do. Anyway, here is Pina's Pizza in Downey, serving it up since 1959, still there. So I went there. Yeah, Pina's Pizza, not Penis Pizza. Sounds like that, but no, Pina's. Yeah, so anyway, so I go there, and on the wall, I see this picture of these 3 pizza delivery mobiles. And I couldn't believe my eyes. I've never seen anything like it. And I thought, I went back up to the counter, and I knew this was homespun and family run place. So I said, excuse me, by the way, your family, your like uncle or whatever, didn't happen to save one of these delivery mobiles. And they're like, yeah, well, I wish, but no. And so I'm like, okay, well, just wondering. And I enjoyed my pizza and my antipasto salad, extra large. It was delicious. And then I went to Ohio to Cassano's Pizza King, and I was taking a tour of Cassano's, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I look on the wall, and I see this picture. It's the exact same pizza delivery mobile they had in Downey, but I didn't know I thought those were made special for them in Downey, but I'm like, okay, great. So I said to the granddaughter, I said, by chance, the granddaughter who ran the joint, I said, by chance, you guys didn't happen to save one of your Pizza Mobile deliveries, did you? Before she could tell me yes and where it was, I was at the Booncroft Cultural Center in Dayton, Ohio, beholding the glory, basking in the glow of this great American national treasure of the highest order. Where do we begin? Have you ever seen a bowling alley sign with the poise, grace, and dignity of a prima ballerina? Well, you're looking at one right now, built in Anaheim, California in the year of 1957. And here we have the glory of Googie. Yeah, Googie architecture, you know, that kind of playful mid-century sci-fi style, colorful, kind of fun, whimsical. Well, how much do you love when a bowling alley sign does a plie, especially when it's a bunch of sticks skewing big balls that say, "Wonder Bowl, where do we begin?" So by the way, if you're familiar with California Adventure, this is where Screamin' Roller Coaster is now. That's where this was. You want to talk about bowling alley signs? Yeah, here's a bowling alley sign. This bowling alley sign, I was in, okay, here's what happened. I was in Salt Lake City, Utah. Yeah, Salt Lake City. And I was minding my own business, driving up State Capitol Boulevard, and it was like kind of getting to be like sunset-y time or whatever, and I'm driving, and you know, I'm new in town, so my eyes are darting in every direction, looking for layers of time, looking for treasures, looking for what's unique about Salt Lake City. And so all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Could that be, is that possible? It is a giant bowling pin, like a skyscraper. Look how tall it is, it's huge. So I pull up to it, I race in the bowling alley, like trying to maintain my poise and my dignity and my good manners, just like my grandmother always desired me to, but I rarely did or have. And I said, excuse me, that big giant bowling alley sign out there, what's the story of that? And she goes, oh, well, you should have seen it when it was brand new. We had a big storm and it blew over. And I said, are there pictures of that? Because I wanted to see. She said it destroyed a whole bunch of cars in the parking lot. And she said, no, we don't have any pictures of it. I'm like, are you sure it really blew over? And that's the second one, a repro of the original. She's like, oh yes, I'm certain. And so I called up the Utah Preservation Heritage Foundation Library, and I said, do you guys have a picture of it? Next thing you know, in my inbox, I have this. There it is, the world's largest bowling pin, bowled over. Anyway, speaking of bowling, you guys, bowling balls are beautiful. They are, I know. Everyone loves them, and especially the multicolored ones, but what to do with them when they're no longer bowlable? Well, simple. Yes, here's what you do. You put them on rebar sticks and plant them in your yard like flowers. You never have to water them, and your neighbors will love you forever and always. Yes, I was driving around Dallas, Texas, the Lone Star State, and of all of the attractions in Dallas, and believe me, there are a lot, I hopped out of the car and took a picture of the bowling ball garden. Here we are in Detroit, Michigan, one of my favorite cities in the known universe. Motown, Motortown, Motor City, that's who gave us wheels. Thank you, Detroit. I cannot thank you enough from my classic car, from the bottom of my classic car, love and heart. I love you, Detroit. And Michigan as a whole is a wonderland to discover. There are things everywhere. So, okay, but you guys, here we are. It's 1964, and this is McCarthy Chevrolet. I don't know if you can see over there on the far right that kind of sign with all the lights on it. It says, hi. 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 I know. Isn't that adorable? Anyway, I love the bow tie Chevrolet sign. I love the big blade sign up there. But most of all, where do we begin to behold the glory of one of the great masterpieces in the history of the known mid-century modern design style guidebook, ever, forever, and always, a masterpiece among masterpieces, genius among genius, electrifying in ways that nothing else could be, can be, or will ever be. Yeah, I'm talking about the rotosphere. There it is. I found one. Uh-oh. Is it going? Can you see it go? Is it happening? Okay, good. You guys are seeing. This is the rotosphere. They made 234 of them. A guy, Warren Milks, in Louisiana from 1960 to 1972 or 71. And there's very few of them that left that are still surviving. But at Joe's Liquor in Memphis, Tennessee, you can find one still revolving. I know. I know. Some things are just too wonderful for words. And the rotosphere is among those few things. Behold the glory. Las Vegas, fabulous Las Vegas. How much do we all seriously love Sin City, the most electrified city block? Well, in the Western Hemisphere, indeed it is. The first gambling license was issued on Fremont Street in downtown Las Vegas in the year of 1931. We see it here in about 1960, the Silver Palace, the Mint, the Horseshoe, the Fremont Club, the Bingo Club, and of course, Vegas Vic. Well, no, don't shy away from electrifying neon. Don't shy away from pink. Uh-oh, what happened? There. Okay. Technical snafu, but we're over it, aren't we? Yeah, you guys, I wanted to show you something really, really important. I really wanted you to see. It blends right in here. The Mint Casino. Here it is, you guys. Built in 1957. We might as well finally get it out in the open. It is indeed the most spectacular storefront ever in the history of storefronts in every way. There are so many things. First of all, fun fonts, that lasagna noodle roofline, that polka dots, stripes, and that big giant arch that goes, oh, and then turns the corner, a soft curve, whoa, straight up. Yeah, and then boom, a starburst on top. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Mint in Las Vegas, built in 1957, is the greatest storefront ever. It doesn't stand any longer, but let's not forget it, for it is a spectacular, spellbinder, space-age sci-fi, sensational, supreme thing ever in the history of all time forever. Yes, thank you. Anyway, you guys, there was one other thing I wanted to tell you about it. Now I know what it is. Why did they call it the Mint when they should have called it the Pink? Anyway, speaking of places to stay in Las Vegas, here we are right now. It is the Orbit Inn Motel. Open new. It says we've got TV, pool, and U.S. choice steaks. And I don't know about you, but I mean, where do we begin? How much do we love the rocket ship? And, of course, the planet up there with, it had chasing lights and everything. And not to mention, not one, but two 1960 Plymouths right there parked beneath it. The lower line has one little rocket ship on the fin, and the middle of the line, Plymouth Belvedere, has 3 rocket ships on the fin. I know, we love them. Oh, now we're on the Las Vegas Strip, you guys. Yes, the sensational Strip. Here it is. There is a car show going on. That is a 1959 Bonneville by Pontiac, the 1961 Impala by Chevrolet, and the 1960 Buick something, I can't tell this far away, by Buick. Yeah, the Buick something by Buick. Okay. Anyway, so, and they go on. Don't you love the fact that they're mint seafoam green and like white? I know. But anyway, we're talking about the Stardust Hotel here, you guys, and the Aku Aku. Yes, in 1960, on the Las Vegas Strip, open up this Aku Aku. You are standing at the main entrance now. How much do we love tiki restaurants? I'm going to tell you, you've got to look up the Mai Kai in Fort Lauderdale. It's a whole thing going on right now at Mai Kai, M-A-I-K-A-I, Mai Kai, Fort Lauderdale. It is the greatest mid-century tiki restaurant extravaganza left standing. Look it up. You will not be sorry. Unfortunately, the Aku Aku is no longer there. And don't you love the official greeters, you guys? Those 2 moai standing there to say hello and welcome to the Aku Aku. You walk over a little bridge, and you go in those avocado green doors, the orange trim. I love the fact that I love the roof on this A-frame. First of all, I love A-frame anythings. But anyway, I love the fact that it's got blue tile, and then it's got white shingles. No rhyme or reason to it. Love it. It reminds me of Adventureland at Disneyland, of course. But we're not talking about Adventureland on the Las Vegas Strip right now. We're talking about Tomorrowland. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the Stardust Stardew. Yes, built in 1958. This is at the time it was built, it was the largest hotel resort in the known universe. And yes, that space-age signage was, it was visible from the space that inspired it. And we could go on and on and on, you guys, but you want to see the back side of that sign? Here it is now. Yes, a bunch of grass, and you know we're right by the pool, I'm sure, but we can't see this swimming pool right now. But we see this lovely lady who, well, she's about to become a rock lobster. And the B-52s are going to write a song about her. Yeah, all I have to say is, honey, you better put on some sunscreen, because you're going to be really red in about 5 minutes. Speaking of lit up, electrified, and glowing and hot, is this, yes, this is the main sign at the Stardust. This is the greatest sign ever, ever of all time. It is the standard of which all other signs are judged, and certainly all other futuristic fonts are judged by. Is this the Stardust font? Look at it. You know it was winkling and blinkling, and the scale of it is spectacular in every way. Yes, the Stardust in Las Vegas. And here is their sign out front right on the strip, Saturn. And don't you love, you know it had chasing, like, lights and all that, and all those little stars were winkling and blinkling. Where do we begin? I really, really wish that I could meet the person that designed this sign to say, you are a creative design genius for the ages. Absolutely, I know. So anyway, so thankfully, Las Vegas has, well, been kind of pretty good at some preservation because they've saved a ton of signs. Have you guys been to the big neon museum in Las Vegas? It's amazing! And here is where you will find the Stardust. One of the Stardust signs survived in all of its glory. And of course, I was hypnotized, spellbound, and mesmerized. My imagination was inspired and my spirit soared. And they said, oh, by the way, you know, we were talking about the Aku Aku when I was there, getting the grand tour. And you guys, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg of the signs at the Las Vegas Neon Museum. You've got to go. It's unbelievable. It's outdoors. You can do it. So anyway, they said, you know, one of the moai from the Aku Aku got saved. I'm like, what? Where is it? Next thing you know, I'm standing in front of a park. I'm standing in the middle of a park called Sunset Park in Las Vegas, looking across this well, it's on a little island. You can't get to it, but there is one of the moai still there in Las Vegas. And we love saving things for future generations who haven't even been born yet that deserve to experience these artifacts, this greatness. Speaking of greatness, better calm down because I could explode over this, the world's greatest remaining diving girl sign. Yes, in the mid-century era, ladies and gentlemen, basically it was mom and pop motels everywhere you went. Motel meant motor hotel. So basically it's for road trippers, and they were everywhere, and they all tried to outdo each other with big spectacular signage. In the case of signs that had a diving girl, that always indicated the fact that they had a pool. Not every sign had a diving girl that had a pool, most didn't, and when they did, that is extra special. Few remain! But this one, sorry, I'm getting like crazy. I better calm down, but I can't help it, you guys, because look at how beautiful this sign is. Exquisite. It is a one of a kind, unique in all the world, built in 1960 in Mesa, Arizona. Well, in 2010, a big, wicked windstorm swept through town and blew it down. And there it was, dead on the ground. And some fine folks in Mesa, Arizona, including this fine gentleman right here, who, by the way, sold neckties with a diving girl sign on it. Is that genius or what? And he and a bunch of other people got together, the townspeople of Mesa, Arizona, got together and told us and showed us what's important. Preserve what makes your community unique. Like in their case, it's that diving girl sign. And don't you love the fact that he struck a pose in front of the all-new for 1965 Ambassador convertible in lipstick red by Rambler. Don't you love any car named a Rambler or an Ambassador? I know, and here it was, and this is the day they rededicated it. I was there. I drove like a bat out of hell from Las Vegas to get there in time, and sure enough, 5, 4, the relighting, 3, 2, 1. Well, it didn't work for about 20 minutes, but they got it all worked out and everything was fine. And here it is in all of its glory. I hope you can see it because I can't, but yeah, boom, 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 boom. I mean, and now I've been there several times. There's no such thing as a trip to Phoenix, Arizona without a 20-minute side tour of Mesa, Arizona, where at sunset you can see this spectacular piece of American roadside history. More than an electrifying vintage neon sign. This is a world-class national treasure. Here we are at Covey's Little America. It's in Cheyenne, Wyoming, or near Cheyenne, Wyoming. Or maybe it is in. Well, anyway, whatever. It's in Wyoming, and hi, Wyoming. Anyway, but so here's the deal, you guys. So Mr. Covey said, 2 birds are better than one. I want to have, not only do I want to have the penguin on the sign as we built it, I want, for the grand opening, I want to have a live penguin that's going to live in the lobby. And so, well, I don't know who it was, but somebody in his office, maybe him, called up the Antarctica. This is like 1953, you guys, and said, can you please send a penguin to Cheyenne, Wyoming, please? And the people in Antarctica was like, okay. And so apparently, according to the legend, they boxed up the penguin. Everything was fine. And put some food and water in there, I guess. And anyway, like 2 months later, the box arrives in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they're all excited. Everybody gathers around, all the employees and everything, at Covey's Little America. And, well, they opened the box, and the penguin was dead. So, without skipping a beat, according to the legend, Mr. Covey said, call the taxidermist. Indeed they did, and I will tell you, that dead penguin got stuffed, and he is in the lobby of Little America in Cheyenne, Wyoming to this very day. Speaking of to this very day, here we are in Vernal, Utah. Sorry, I had to say Vernal, Utah. No, I'm not sorry, I'm proud. I just got a little carried away. I meant to say I'm sorry I got so carried away, but I want to shout out to the people of Vernal, Utah. Thank you for saving what makes me want to come to your town, besides, I'm sure, many things, but this is the most spectacular. Yes, in 1959, they built this, the Dinahville Motel, and ever since then, this big gay dinosaur has been, well, the official greeter of the town. So when the Dinahville Motel went out of beeswax, they're like, we're not letting that dinosaur go. No. So they repurposed him, and now he marks the entrance to the town, and yes, is still the official greeter. Thank you, Vernal, Utah, for keeping your town unique. Speaking of unique, Portland, Oregon, one of the greatest vintage neon motel signs still standing. It is indeed, ladies and gentlemen, the Palms Motel. Where do we begin to behold the glory of every detail of this wondrous work of whimsy? It makes me happy. It fills me with joy and electricity. And too bad, never mind the H is out and half of the O, whatever. Neon is very expensive to maintain. And you know, every one of those tubes on every neon sign you see, you guys, was like hand bent. It's like a craft. I mean, these are like made by hand. No machine makes this stuff, you guys. This is a man craft right here you're looking at, and a classic one. Anyway, the other thing that I love about it more than anything, it has a little neon monkey on it. I know, don't you love neon monkeys? Oh, of course you do. I know you do. So anyway, I don't know why, but I've always had the idea that I want to go to Portland and stay at the Palms Motel. And I want to have, like, this is so random, but I don't know why. It's just something that I want to do in life. I want to have a grilled cheese party in the room. I want to invite all my friends in Portland to come to the room, and we're going to have grilled cheese. Yeah, all you need to do is go to the store and get a big, well, couple loaves of white bread. The cheapest bread there is. And the cheapest, like, stuff that they don't even call cheese. Like, you know, those little squares of that melty stuff that's so good. And some butter, lots of butter, and then put foil and an iron. Bring an iron, or they'll have one in the room. And you just cook it that way. And you have a grilled cheese party in your room. Okay, fine. Maybe you want to have one here at the Holiday Inn. But, yeah, this is not any old ordinary Holiday Inn, which, by the way, Holiday Inn started in Memphis, Tennessee in the year of 1952. It was the second most famous thing ever to come out of Memphis. The first thing, of course, the great Elvis Presley. So anyway, yeah, the Holiday Inn. First of all, don't you love the font on the sign? Don't you love the sign? Sadly, not one of these iconic roadside masterpieces stands to this stands. Now, they're all gone. Of course, Holiday Inn still endures. But anyway, this is not an ordinary Holiday Inn. This is a special one on Route 66 in Joplin, Missouri, and it was co-owned by Mickey Mantle, the baseball legend, you guys. So the story is, though, according to the legend, is that the owner, the co-owner with Mickey Mantle said, you know, Mickey, you're getting like half the profit here, yet only thing you're doing is having your name on the marquee. That's not enough. Come up with a slogan for our fried chicken dinner restaurant. And so Mickey Mantle's like, okay, I'll do that. So the slogan that Mickey Mantle came up with for the fried chicken dinner restaurant at the Holiday Inn with his name on it was, in order to get a better piece of, in order to get a better piece of chicken, you'd have to be a rooster. Well, they used the slogan and the fried chicken dinner restaurant went out of business. Never mind that, we are looking for a room. Here we are in Tucson, Arizona. And yes, we love Tucson, indeed we do, in every day, every way. And we're at the Tiki Motel. Hold on one second. Time for a drink. Drinks up, everybody. Ah, nothing like it. Anyway, so you guys, so we're at the Tiki Motel, still standing in Tucson. Tucson has been really excellent at preserving a lot of their vintage neon signs on the old main road in and out of town and everything, which gives it character and style when you drive into Tucson. You're like, look at that neon sign, look at that one, look at that one. I mean, you feel like you're somewhere special because it's unique, and the vintage neon signs are unique, like this one, the Tiki Motel. Yeah, so I was getting the royal tour of town from one of the historians there, and they said, you know, the locals actually have a nickname for the Tiki Motel, and I said, oh, what is it? And they go, yeah, we call it the Flaming Vagina. And then we were driving around town, and I thought to myself, wow, I didn't know steak had fingers. Yeah, we went to this place, and I think it's called the Lucky Wishbone is what they call it. That is what they call it. This is the Lucky Wishbone sign. And I thought to myself, gosh, the same designer must have designed this that designed the Tiki sign. And he goes, you know what we call this one, don't you? And I go, yeah, I bet I do. He goes, what? I said, the Flaming Butthole. He goes, you're absolutely right. And there it is, thank you. And still there, glowing every night of the week since like 1963, you guys. Okay, this is major, this is real, this is deep. In Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the Sperry Candy Company in 1954 decided that they needed to have special delivery vehicles to deliver their Sperry candy called chicken dinner candy. So chicken dinner candy, like that sounds like a total weird name for like a candy bar or whatever, and indeed it was. But it was like what we have now still. A lot of our candy bars, you guys, that are on our store shelves at 7-Eleven or whatever, which, by the way, 7-Eleven started in Dallas in 1927. The first thing they sold was ice. Anyway, but we're not talking about 7-Eleven. We're talking about Sperry fried chicken dinner candy. No, chicken dinner. So, you guys, what we have now that's very similar to it is Butterfinger. The Butterfinger kind of has that salty, well, apparently theirs was like that, only maybe it had like poultry seasoning in it or something. I don't know. It's like we're into pumpkin spice now. Maybe then they were into poultry seasoning. I don't know. But anyway, I do know that when I found this slide of this Sperry chicken dinner delivery truck with a rooster on it, I thought to myself, wow, I can't believe it. This is what happens when a rooster and a 54 Ford pickup truck have a baby. And so I thought, certainly there must be one left. Well, seek and ye shall find. If you want something in life, that is fine. Go for it. Share your desire of what you're looking for. Be passionate about it. Be goal-oriented, and you will most likely find it. Well, indeed, I went through all the motions to find. There it is, you guys. I found one in, where was I? I was in, Kentucky. It was in Kentucky. And anyway, I mean, yeah, go to Kentucky. Kentucky's full of stuff. You guys, there's stuff everywhere. There's stuff everywhere. Anyway, so what I was going to say was, we better hurry. No, we're doing fine, right? So you guys, so it had a second life or a third life or whatever as Bob's Chicken Dinner, like it was a fried chicken restaurant, and they delivered their chicken there. And so what you can't see, and I was going to show you, but it's like we could be here forever, is the back of the butt area of the chicken opened up, and that's where they serve their chicken out of. Anyway, I just thought you might want to see the remains of the chicken. It's a world-class national treasure. Okay, you guys, we are at the Stagecoach Inn is next door. We're at the Chicken Coop Cafe. I do not know where this slide is, taken in the mid-1950s, but I love all the little chickens up there. You guys, they put all those chickens up there for us. So us now, right now in 2021, could appreciate them. And the big one, yeah, that big fiberglass chicken, I love those. You still see them around once in a while. Most have flown the coop, but back in the day, they were atop many a fried chicken stand. Anyway, but you know what's unique about this slide, you guys, is that there is a 1955 Buick sitting there, a special two-door hardtop. And what is unique about that car is that it's red with a mint green roof. How much do we love a unique color story, you guys? I love color, no fear of color. And when I was driving through Kansas, and my friend went on like roadfood.com, and he goes, let's go here. And he shows me this sign. I'm like, we are there. So Al's Chickenette. Again, the word et. Anything that ends in with an et. We love it. Yeah, we do, of course. I know you do too, of course. Et. Anything et. Just put et on every word, and people will love you. Anyway, Al's Chickenette, fried chicken. As I do recall, it was delicious. This is not Al's Chickenette. This is Beverly's Pancake House in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Anyway, so as I told you, I always go to the old school classic, layers of time kind of places that have been around. So I went to Beverly's, and everything was fine. I had a lovely conversation with the owner and everything, the new owner. She wasn't part of the original family or whatever, but really nice lady. And we were talking for a while and everything. And then, of course, I ordered the specialty of the house, as I recommend that we always do. And the chicken came, and there it was. 2 giant breasts. Looked very good. Deliciously fried to a golden brown. And I'm like, oh, this looks so good. And I took a big old bite out of it. Well, much to my shocking surprise, that chicken breast was totally rancid. So it put me in the awkward position of saying, excuse me. Chicken breast is rancid. It went bad. Well, there are no guarantees in life, you guys. Sometimes things go bad. Like this, Tulsa, Oklahoma. So long story short, in 1989, I was on a big jet plane flying to Hong Kong with nothing to do but read my classic car magazine. And so anyway, it said in 1957 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they buried a 1957 Plymouth Belvedere two-door hardtop, one of my all-time favorite cars. And so I thought, and it said they buried it in time capsule, and in the year 2007, they're going to unearth it. And so I thought to myself, it's 1989. I thought, how old will I be in 2007? And so I'm counting, okay. And then I like every day of my life between 1989 and 2007, I said, I'm going to see the brand new 1957 Plymouth Belvedere that they buried in a time capsule when they unveil it. And so I went there to Tulsa. Wait. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's it right there. So I went there, and that's what we got, a 1957 Plymouth Belvedere that looked like it had been battered and deep fried like a piece of chicken. So anyway, it's going on display in a small museum outside of Chicago. I can't wait to go see it now. They've tried to de-rust it, but apparently when they did, it all fell apart in pieces. But they still saved it. So anyway, so here we are in, you guys, in Kentucky. Corbin, Kentucky, at the site of this is the first Colonel Sanders. I love Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders, where do we begin? So I had to go see, when I was in Kentucky, the original Kentucky Fried Chicken. I walked in the door, and there he was. So you guys, he had the fried chicken place, but then apparently the highway came through, and he didn't have his business. Nobody stopped his restaurant anymore. So he's like, I have such a good fried chicken recipe. I'm going to sell it wholesale to other diner owners. I'm going to call it Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I'm going to sell them my recipe, and they can make it in their diner and sell it under the name on the menu, Kentucky Fried Chicken. So the first place he ever had a franchisee or whatever, the guy who bought the recipe, was in Utah. Yeah, in Salt Lake City at the Dewdrop Inn. So now that Dewdrop Inn is actually a Kentucky Fried Chicken. And when you go there, it is loaded up like a museum of Kentucky Fried Chicken memorabilia and Colonel Sanders memorabilia. Here he is in all of his glory. You guys, you know what's weird about Colonel Sanders, though, who's like one of my all-time heroes, is that his likeness, there's nobody born before the year 1900 except for Jesus Christ, whose likeness is more familiar in today's world. Jesus Christ and Colonel Sanders. Yeah, I know. Love you, Colonel. So anyway, in the bucket. So the people in Salt Lake City, I had to go to the main office of the restaurant of the Kentucky Fried Chicken there to find out why they had so much Kentucky Fried Chicken memorabilia, because of course nobody behind the counter could tell me. And anyway, so I go to the main office who owned that Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they said, oh, well, we were the first ones and blah, blah, blah. And they also said, we're the ones that, the bucket happened here first too. And I said, what's the story with the bucket? And they said, well, it was a busy night. People were waiting in long lines for the fried chicken. And what happened is that we opened a box of drink cups. They didn't have fried chicken buckets yet. They opened a drink box, a box full of drink cups, and they sent the drink cup company sent these big giant ones, the buckets. And someone said, I'll take my chicken in that. And the bucket was born. Also there in Kentucky, in their little museum, they had this mask. How could something so right be so wrong, and something so wrong be so right? I love you, Colonel Sanders. Always will. And here we are in rural Pennsylvania at, well, Roadside America, the miniature village. How much do you love any place you go that has a 1958 Ford station wagon as a billboard? It is a miniature village extravaganza extraordinaire of the absolute highest order. And it was made on display since 1946 until this year. It closed. Heartbreaking, heartbreaking, heartbreaking. This is the man, Lawrence Gehringer, who started at the age of 5 years old in 1895 making miniatures, 1899, sorry. I like to be exact. And his parents, he was 5 years old, he started making miniatures, and his parents said, wait a minute, you're brilliant. You're only 5 years old and you can make miniatures that brilliantly? We're going to dedicate our lives to you making miniatures. And they did. In 1946, they opened up his miniature village at Roadside America, where it was till this year. And anyway, I just want to say, Lawrence, thank you for being so brilliant. And may you never be forgotten. You are one of the greatest miniature makers of all time. And well, I want to say thank you, and we love you and your miniatures. Here is the place when I visited a few years ago, and you can see those little houses are about halfway up, well, a little more than halfway up to your knee. That was the scale. So you walked around it, and you walked up above it. You can barely see some people there on the upper left looking down on the whole thing. It was spectacular in every way, every day from 1946 until this year. They just had an auction. They auctioned off all the miniatures and everything. I mean, no photo could capture it. The greatest things, you guys, are unphotographable. And this is one of those things. But anyway, the crowning touch was when every half an hour the lights all went dark and Kate Smith sang, God bless America, land that I love. Okay, I'm not going to sing God bless Americana. I mean America. But you're watching You're watching Addicted to Americana. Okay, you guys, we're doing fine. We got a little ways to go, so wow, yeah, I knew this was an action-packed show. I think I warned you from the beginning, but I did not warn you that you were going to see this. This is the shoe house in York, Pennsylvania, built in 1946. So a guy became very rich selling shoes. He had a lot of shoe stores, like starting in the 20s, 30s. He made a lot of money. For some strange odd reason, which is slightly unknown, he decided in 1946 he wanted to build a big shoe, and he was going to invite newlyweds to spend their wedding nights there. So this is the house. It's still there, and you can go there, and I did. And I'll never forget, you go through and you tour it and everything, and then when you're done, you go inside. The heel is the garage. It's been turned into a little snack shop where they serve brownies in the shape of the big shoe. It's the simple pleasures in life, you guys. Like Yogi Bear at Jellystone National Park in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Oh, hey, Yogi, where's Boo Boo? I think we just skipped one slide forward. But anyway, I couldn't, of course, I had to jump in Yogi Bear's picnic basket. Wouldn't you? Yeah. And wouldn't you want to see this, ladies and gentlemen? This is indeed Frank Lloyd Wright's. Some consider him the greatest American architect ever. This is his one and only skyscraper in Bartlesville, Pennsylvania, built in the year of 1956. So anyway, so you can tour the place. So I went online, made my tour reservations, came all the way from Los Angeles to Bartlesville, Oklahoma, and I get there. Well, it was a little further than I thought, and I was like 9.5 minutes late. I walked in the door. The tour was already in session that I was supposed to be on, and it was the last tour of the day. And the lady says, I said, hi, I'm sorry to be late, but I've come all the way from Los Angeles. And she's like, you're late? I said, but I'm sorry. I said I was sorry, and I've come a long way, and I'm very excited to be here, and I'd love to join the tour. I'm sorry. You're not going to be able to join the tour. You're late. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. So then I thought to myself, wow. And she said to her tour group, right this way, please. And they opened a door and went one way. And I thought to myself, I didn't come all the way for nothing. I'll give the tour to myself. So I pushed the elevator button. I went all the way up to the top floor. I went on the penthouse, and I went out on the terrace, and the door closed behind me. Little did I know it was going to be locked. So I was stuck on the terrace of the top floor of the penthouse of this incredible skyscraper. So anyway, so finally, I didn't see anyone leave the building. Like 35, 45 minutes went by, an hour. Finally, there she is walking. I'm like, excuse me. She was not any too pleased with me. Okay, you guys, in Idaho, there are many things to see, of course, including the Idaho Falls. But more importantly than that is the Idaho Potato Museum. I want to say thank you to Idaho for potatoes. We love your potatoes and we love your tater tots. First introduced in the year of 1953, but we're not talking about tater tots right now. We're talking about the Idaho Potato Museum with this big giant potato with sour cream and butter on top of it. Isn't it gorgeous? I know. So I went there and everything was fine except for the fact that, well, no, everything was fine, but I couldn't believe the Potato Museum, you guys, is divided into two parts, this side and that side. One side is potato peelers, an entire room of potato peelers, and the other side is an entire room of potato mashers. Honest. And then when I left, they gave me a little box, a promotional sample box of instant potatoes, like by some brand name that I never knew made instant potatoes. And so I'm like, oh, thank you. And so I get out to the car and I'm looking at it, and it's like the expiration date was like 18 years ago. I'm like, this is genius. This is my kind of place. In Culver City, California, starting in 1930 until 1972, we had this piano store entrance. Yeah, you entered the piano store through the piano. Is that brilliant or what? The world needs more giant pianos. Well, everything was just fine until the main building that it was attached to burned to the ground, and now thankfully the firemen were able to save this precious little piano. Well, big piano. But anyway, what happened is then preservationists said, well, yeah, we're going to move it and everything. Okay, I know you want to redevelop the property, so we're going to move it. So they picked it all up and everything, and they put it on a flatbed trailer, and they moved it a few miles away, and when they lifted it off, it splintered into a million splinters. That was it. Gone. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing. I went to Gatorland in Florida, you guys. Florida is a wonderland to discover, a vacation paradise of retro attractions, east, west, north, and south. I cannot recommend it enough. But what happened was, you guys, I went to Gatorland. Everything was fine. Homespun and family run since 1949, my kind of place. So I go in there, and I start telling the lady at the place, at the bar, where they're selling, not cocktails, they're selling turkey dogs, $1 each, to serve to the alligators. So I'm like, of course I want to do that. And she said, well, you're such a wonderful guest. I'm not going to charge you $1. I'm just going to give you 2 turkey dogs. So I said, okay, thank you. So I took the turkey dogs, and I went up to this big, tall platform where you throw the turkey dogs down to the alligators down below, which are all doing like this. But they're smart, and they take turns. They know. And so anyway, so I'm like, okay, are you ready? And the guy's going like this, and I'm like, okay, here it goes. And I let it go, and like that little turkey dog did not get 1/2 inch away from my hands. And I'll be darned anyway if a giant pterodactyl didn't swoop down and take that turkey dog and almost knock me over. I thought, whoa, giant pterodactyl. You're not going to get this one. I had one more. And so I said, okay, you ready? We got to make this quick. And I said, no, pterodactyl. And I went like, okay, 1, 2, 3. I'll be darned anyway if a pterodactyl from this side didn't come and get the... Beware of pterodactyls in Florida. Weeky Watchy, welcome to, since 1947, it's 9 shows daily, 9 shows today, rain or shine. Yeah, not any old show, no at Weeky Watchy, no. This is the legendary landmark, home of the mermaids and the underground water theater, you guys. Yes, since 1947, this is where they've been putting on the underwater mermaid show, and it is a sight to behold to this very day. The Mermaid Show is spellbinding, hypnotizing, and mesmerizing, and I couldn't believe it. Again, speaking of animals being so smart, especially in Florida, well, everywhere, but in Florida, it was proven to me twice. Anyway, so what happened was, you guys, is so they do the show 9 times a day or whatever, and it's in a natural spring. So somebody was telling me, yeah, like an alligator could go in there, and, you know, there's, or whatever. Well, I got in there and watching the mermaids do their thing, and here comes a big turtle. And I swear, it did like 5 minutes of the routine with the mermaids, like they trained the turtle. I mean, it was just, well, it was hypnotizing, spellbinding, and mesmerizing, as is this. The Sip and Dip in Great Falls, Montana, yes, since 1963. This is the bar where you regularly, every night, you can go and see mermaids swimming during cocktail hour in the pool behind the bar, and listen to the song stylings of Pat, who's been playing there. I don't know if she's there right now, but been playing there for like, 57 years or whatever. Love you, Pat. Love you, mermaids. You guys, I guess we have a lot more to go here. I didn't realize I knew this was an action-packed show, but you don't have anywhere to go right now, do you? If not, you can put it on pause and watch it later. But we're not talking about watching it later because we got important things to talk about, you guys. We are talking about, are you ready? Are you ready for the greatest space age building ever in the history of the world? You're looking at it. Say hello to the Space Needle, built as the crowning touch and the centerpiece of the 1962 Seattle World's Fair, still there in all of its glory, and it is ready for its close-up. There it is right there. Of course, you take that elevator ride up there. The whole time you're trembling, thinking, okay, this is the time the whole thing's going to fall over and you're going to be on the elevator. But no! You get up there and voila, yes. Anyway, though, I'll never forget the first time I went to the Space Needle. I walked up and I said, well, how much is it to go to the top? And they said, it's $19. And I thought to myself, $19? That's insane. It should be at least $195. Yes, I guess they no longer serve dinner up there because our dining habits have changed. But here we are, and a lady's about to have her ice cream sundae, and someone's about to have a cup of coffee and a big, giant, tall piece of spice cake with powdered sugar on top. But we're not talking about that. We're talking at the lady next to her there, drinking out of the souvenir Space Needle mug, you guys, which had a top on it, the top. You're going to see in a moment, because this lady right there in the gray sweater is probably staring out the window at these two. Yes, there is that souvenir. I've not seen one, but apparently there's alcohol inside that, and then you get a cigarette lighter on top served with a flame. Is that like beyond or what? Tiki mug designers, take a note on this, because if you don't, I will. So anyway, but the thing is, you guys, I cannot believe this picture was taken in 1962. We're not talking about the fact that the Seattle atmosphere is avocado green that night. We're talking about the fact I had no idea that Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga of A Star Is Born could time travel. There they are. Doesn't that look like Lady Gaga? I know. We're not talking about Lady Gaga right now. We're talking about Goo Goo Gaga over this. This was, if you talk to people from Seattle, the most fondly remembered thing at the World's Fair, which actually remained in place there, this bubble elevator. They called it the Bubbleator. It actually, like the place where they did the World's Fair for the year of 62, it later became something else, and they saved the Bubbleator. It was there for a long time, until like the 80s or whatever. And here it is, just up and down one floor in a big bubble. Well, we love bubbles. Well, anyway, I heard that the Bubbleator still existed, so I thought, I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it. So I did, and well, here's what happened. I went to the town where I knew that it was, and okay, I thought to myself, I'm not looking online. I am just going to ask people in town. Well, I asked a few people, where's the bubbleator? Where's the bubbleator? And they're like, we don't know, we don't know, we don't know. So finally, I found the guys that work for the electric company, and they have one of those big like forklift things that lifts them way up in the air. Those guys know everything. They know where everything is, and they know what's in everyone's backyard and in every alley. So I'm like, do you guys know where the bubbleator is? And, I'm showing a picture on my iPhone. They're like, yeah, we do. And they gave me these long roundabout directions. It was a few miles away. So I got in my car, and I'm going there. Well, I got lost, and I couldn't find it. And I thought, I'm going to go back and find those guys again so they can tell me again, because I got to see the bubbleator. Well, no more did I get a block and a half, and boom, there it was. Yes, and if I were a hothouse flower, I'd be in there right now, but I did spend a couple of moments in the bubbleator. Careful what you wish for, you guys, in life, because your dreams may come true. But we're not done yet. We're going to the 64 New York World's Fair. You guys, wow. So here we are, and the theme was man in a shrinking globe in an ever-expanding universe. I'm not sure what that means, but I do know that it was quite a sampler platter of outer space age style and design, and it was a feast extravaganza of cultural and corporate displays. So here is the centerpiece and the crowning touch. This, of course, is the Unisphere, and it is still in place in New York City. You see it on the way from JFK into Manhattan. It is one of the great icons of the 20th century. Exquisite. Yeah, exquisite in every design detail. 12 stories tall, made entirely out of stainless steel. Behold the glory of the Unisphere. Now, way down there, right in front of it, you can't see, but there is one of these. This is at the World's Fair in '64, one of the ways that you could get around if you were just too darn lazy to walk or too tired, pooped out, run down, or listless. You could ride the Greyhound Escorter. Don't you love it, you guys? Okay. I know they had a whole bunch of them, and years later they wound up doing service on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, but they're all gone from there. And I know there is one out there, and I'm going to find it, but I haven't yet. This slide with the Unisphere in the background, this slide was crystal clearly marked, my first wife. Yes. Anyway, yeah. Well, nothing lasts forever, does it? Here we are. This is legendary movie star of the 30s, 40s, and 50s, the one and only Miss Joan Crawford. Yes, spokesperson for Married to the CEO of Pepsi Cola. And here she is making a personal appearance at the World's Fair with the three pigs from Disneyland. And looks like Goofy's back there, too. I only noticed him just now. But anyway, you guys, the funny thing is that I wonder if Joan Crawford looked up at the pig there in red and went, oh, we're wearing the same hat. I know. And here we are in one of the most exciting exhibits at the World's Fair. Ford Motor Company's Magic Skyway, brought to you by Walt Disney. Yes, that is the building, that dinosaur ribcage architecture. And that tunnel is where you would ride on the most luxurious ride vehicles ever in any ride ever of all time. A brand new Ford Company motor car, convertible. They packed 6 people in, so you had Falcons and Galaxy 500s and Lincoln Continentals and Mercury Park Lanes. And anyway, so yeah, and you went into this tunnel in the car, and yeah, so one of the things that you would see in there was it was the past, prehistoric times, and then there was the future. And this is Primeval World, you guys, from Disneyland. It actually was reincarnated at Disneyland. Once the fair was over, Walt Disney said, we're not throwing those dinosaurs away. We're going to bring them to Disneyland. So when you go around Disneyland on the Grand Canyon diorama, you know, that on the train, you see Primeval World. And those dinosaurs are from the World's Fair. I just thought you might want to know that. Anyway, one thing that is left from the World's Fair was this. This is, oh, you guys, this is a magnificent display. It is from '64. Yeah, I just said that. It is New York City in miniature, and it is done to exquisite detail. Everything is in perfect scale, and you can go there next time you're in New York City. Go to see the Unisphere. There at Flushing Meadows, it's called. That's where the site of the '39 World's Fair and the '64 World's Fair. There's nothing left there. It's a big giant park. Shea Stadium is there, I think, and a couple other things. But inside the 1939 pavilion of the World's Fair, you will find what they built in 1964. They're still there. It is this model. It is a great tourist attraction in New York that nobody knows about. And here is the monorail of the World's Fair. I hear there is one of these still around, but I haven't found it yet. I heard it's in Houston. I haven't been there to see it, but I want to go find it. Disneyland had a monorail, of course, still does. And where do we begin? How much do we love the monorail at Disneyland? It's the greatest monorail ever of all time. And since 1959 till now, you can have your thrills riding around Disneyland. Every time I go there, I have to ride the monorail. It is a glory to behold, isn't it? I know. So we could go on and on and on and on, you guys, but how special is it to ride a monorail and go over a submarine and say, hi, submarine. Anyway, at the Los Angeles County Fair, you guys, in 1962, they added a monorail system. And but they forgot to make the windows open, and they didn't put air conditioning in them. So you got to roast to a delicious done as you rode around and got the monorail. Oscar Mayer Wiener Monorail. Yeah. Never too late, Oscar Mayer. This is your prototype right there. Anyway, but we're not talking about Oscar Mayer right now. We're talking about the fact that, yes, when this was taken down at the Texas State Fairgrounds, it went to a farm. Well, I had to go find it because I heard it was at a farm an hour outside of Dallas. So I went to the little town, and sure enough, I went to the old drugstore. It was from 1899, and two old ladies were sitting there, and I said, do you know where the monorail is? It's in someone's backyard on their farm. And they're like, well, why don't you ask the guy next door at the barbecue place? So I went over there, and he goes, no, I don't know where it is, but I'm making peach cobbler right now. Why don't you come in the kitchen? I'll show you how to make a peach cobbler. So I had peach cobbler and barbecue. Then he said, why don't you go to the real estate office? They know everything. So I went to the real estate office. Sure enough, they told me where it was. So I arrive on the farm property after an exhausting getting lost. Anyway, whatever. I get there, and I can see it way in the distance, way in the distance. So standing there at the gate with 4 barking dogs that look pretty mean, I said, hey, is anybody home? Is anybody home? Hello? Nothing. 4 big dogs barking at me. So I looked at the dogs, and I thought, you're friendly, aren't you? I climbed over the fence, and I ran over to it, and there it was. A little run down, but anyway, okay, here we are, you guys. This is the pig monorail from the toy department at Rich's department store in Atlanta, Georgia. I know. Anyway, so you guys, so they had this in the toy department in Atlanta at a department store. Is that genius or what? It would go around the ceiling. So like when you went to the store to shop, you'd like take your kids up there and say, see ya, and they'd just ride around in this thing for hours. Well, of course, the day came where it had to come down. Thankfully, they did not throw it in the garbage. No, it is on display at the Atlanta History Museum. So speaking of, I was in Fort Worth and Texas, and my friend who was showing me around all the vintagey places said, do you want to go to the department store museum? I said, what? Department store museum. I'm like, department store museum? Let's go. And so we went there, and it wasn't a department. It was Leonard's Department Store Museum. On the wall was a picture of this. Oh, no, I skipped one ahead. Well, anyway. I'm a little thumb heavy on my thumb is giving out. This is the longest slideshow I've ever done, you guys. Everybody okay? You're fine, right? Anyway, we're talking about going in search of lost treasures. So I see this picture on the wall, and I said to the lady, excuse me, what is this? She goes, oh, well, we had a subway, she called it, to take people from our department store in downtown Fort Worth to the parking lot a mile away, because they had to sell the parking lot, next door. And so I said, please tell me that you saved one of these cars, which, by the way, was from the 30s, from Washington, D.C. originally. And she said, well, as a matter of fact, we did. And she said, you'll have to go downtown into the lobby of one of the big skyscrapers here in Fort Worth, and there you will find this unbelievable Leonard's Department Store subway train car. There it is in all of its glory. Seattle, Washington. The Kalakala was built in about 1937, a spectacular, streamlined, modern ferry that would take you all around those gorgeous islands around Puget Sound and Seattle. And there it was until 1967, retired. It went to Alaska. It went to Alaska to be part of a tuna cannery. So they cut up tuna and stuff on it and put it in cans for us to eat. Uh-huh. And then, well, I heard it came back, and they were going to restore it. It came back. It came back, and it came back to Tacoma. So I went to Tacoma, Washington, home of almond roca candy, you guys. You know almond roca? Yeah, made in Tacoma. Well, anyway, I thought, where am I going to find anybody who knows where exactly to tell me where to find the Kalakala streamlined ferry boat? So I went here to the Poodle Dog Good Food Pup Room. That's where I went. Serving it up in Tacoma since 1933. I don't know about you, but I love any place called Poodle anything. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to start tomorrow a social experiment by just like calling people Poodle. Like go up to people and say, "Hi, Poodle. Hey, Poodle," and just see how people react. You know, it's harmless. They're going to love it. "Hey, Poodle. Hey, Poodles." I'm addressing all of you right now. Anyway, so the old men at the bar there in the pup room knew exactly where it was, and there it was in all of its glory. Unfortunately, it was too deteriorated to be saved. Sad but true. It's gone. The Kalakala. So then, fine. I went in search of this. In 1956, General Motors said, we're going to make a futuristic train that's going to revolutionize passenger train travel. And General Motors came up with this, the Aero Train. And don't you love anything with the name Aero in it? Yeah, I know. A-E-R-O, that spelling. So anyway, so here it is. And basically, it ran between like Baltimore and New York City and Los Angeles and Las Vegas. They made two of them. And those were the original routes for about 1 year. And then, like, I don't know, something wasn't right about them or whatever. And so Chicago said, we'll take them as commuter trains. So they lasted until 1967. Finally, they're like, get rid of them. Well, thankfully, both of them have been saved. Both two of them have been saved. Here's one now in Green Bay, Wisconsin. You can go see it yourself. There I am climbing on it, basking in the glory of the glow of all that beautiful aluminum painted silver with that red stripe. Walt Disney made a small version of it, about that same time. The Viewliner at Disneyland, it was the shortest lived attraction ever in Disneyland before the rocket rods. When was that? In like the late 90s. Anyway, it only lasted a year and a half because they had to get rid of it because it was time for the monorail, which we already talked about. Thankfully, the other baby aero train called the Zooliner in Portland, Oregon, at the zoo, it's still there, you guys. There's some fighting going on right now about the preservation of the Zooliner in Portland at the zoo. And I highly recommend that if you're anywhere near there, please, we got to preserve this because look how precious this thing is. So yeah, you go on it for a ride through the woods. So I went there with my friend Jeff of VintageRoadside.com. And so what happened is that we get there late in the afternoon. I'm like, we better hurry. They're going to be closed. They're going to be closed. So we finally get to the zoo, and I dash up and get the tickets. We dash over to where the train is, and they're like locking the door to the train house barn. And I'm like, oh no, we've missed it. I mean, like, excuse me, hi, I've come all the way from Los Angeles to see the Zooliner. I'm sorry, sir, we put it away for the day. I'm like, but I've come all the way. And they're like, well, you can come back tomorrow, 10 a.m. I'm like, I won't be here tomorrow. Next thing you know, they open up the doors, fired up the thing, and I'm riding around. Me and Jeff from Vintage Roadside are riding around that 2-hour, oh, ain't life grand? It is indeed. Yes, it is. Wow, you guys, we're really like, is everybody okay so far? Good. Dutch Wonderland in Pennsylvania is where you would have found this shocking monorail. Yes, so I went there to Dutch Wonderland, and they had a new modern monorail cars on the track. I'm like, oh no, I wanted to see this one. So anyway, I went to the manager of Dutch Wonderland. I said, I knocked on his office door. I mean, it was like a small theme park from 1963, still there. I said, excuse me, I was just wondering if you could tell me like what happened to the original monorail cars. He goes, what do you mean, original monorail cars? I'm like, oh, well, there were cars before the ones that you have now on your monorail. He goes, oh, well, I've only been here 3 weeks. I don't know anything. I'm like, okay. So I thought, well, I know who's going to know. The janitor. Janitors know everything. When you go to a theme park, if you want information, talk to the janitor. So anyway, I knocked on the janitor's door, his office door, no answer. I called the number, no answer. Pretty soon, 20 minutes later, I get a call. Hi, that's the janitor. And he said, you left a message? And I said, yes, I'm looking for if you have any information about the original monorail cars that were on your track here at Dutch Wonderland. He goes, oh, well, as a matter of fact, I do. They were sold at auction 15 years ago to the Swanger brothers. The Swanger brothers. I thought, who are the Swanger brothers? I'm going to call them up. He goes, yeah, it's Swanger Heating Oil Company. They're in town. Look them up. I said, thank you so much. As I said, janitors know everything. They will lead your way. So anyway, so I call up, hello, Swanger Oil Company. And I said, yeah, I'm just wondering, do you guys have the original monorail cars, as I was told that you did? And the secretary said, one moment, please. Yeah, this is George Swanger. I said, do you have the, and he goes, yes, we do. So anyway, I haven't actually seen them yet, but they are there. Speaking of they are there, you guys, we better get rolling here, but we have time for this. This is the Dutch Haven, home of the shoe fly pie. That is a local food, which in Pennsylvania, it's this pie that like is just goo. It's just goo. That's what it is. It's like sugar goo with a crust and some stuff on the top. Of course, when you eat it, you know you're going to die, and you don't care because it's so delicious. But anyway, Dutch Haven is where you find it. That's the place. It's still there since 1946. And here is their big sign out front, Dutch Haven Barn, Amish stuff. Yeah, Amish stuff. I love Amish stuff. Shoe fly pie, gift shop, and free intercourse. God knows everybody loves a bargain, but it's always better when you can get it for free. Here we are in San Francisco. Indeed, we are at the Cliff House since 1856, and this is the 1950s version of the Cliff House, and I don't know about you, but I love that script of optimism there. Yes, Cliff House. Look at the dot on that eye, you guys. Well, we are not there just to see the Cliff House. No, we're not there just to see the California Mission models. No, we are there to ride the Sky Tram, you guys. Sea Seal rocks. Uh-oh. This looks kind of scary to me. But anyway, yes, indeed, this was there. The Sky Tram at San Francisco's Cliff House from the year of 1955 to 1961. Looks kind of like a big trailer, doesn't it? Also looks like it's stressing out that glorified clothesline. Also, the people in that person in red walking up the stairs, probably search and rescue. But never mind that, we're talking about this. Yes, this is the all-new for 1955 Belvedere four-door sedan in turquoise and white. And it is, you guys, how much do you love this? This is one of my favorite slides I ever found, ever, of all time. Because don't you love that canned ham trailer in flamingo pink and cream? I know, yes, we call that a canned ham trailer. That's what those are called. And they are prize collectibles today if you can find one. Yes, we love the outside of the trailer, but it's what's going on inside that's so, well, even more interesting. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this was the moment that the 11-year-old discovered that he enjoyed the taste of his grandmother's tongue. Yes, indeed, and as you can see, the mother looks away in denial, and Aunt Driving Miss Daisy is waiting her turn in line. Everyone knows, you guys, that it's fine to make out with your grandmother, but there can be consequences. Yes, indeed, there is. Fine, you burn your trailer down, no problem. Buy another one, a bigger one. I was doing a slideshow in Bend, Oregon, and these nice people came up to me afterwards, and they said, you want to see the trailer to end all trailers? I'm like, what? And they go, yeah, we have a triple-decker trailer. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be right there. So I went there, and there it was. I felt immediately I had to protect it. For this is precious. This is major. This is real. This is deep. This should be preserved for the ages of all time. And by the way, yeah, I'm just going to say it. This and basically everything else that I've shown you, if not remaining in place, deserves to be in the best museums on the planet. Come the day. This should be in the Louvre or something. Or in the Smithsonian. Where's the mid-century wing of the Smithsonian? Oh, yeah, that'll be wonderful. I can't wait for the day. And maybe for the Smithsonian, you can find a 58 Etzel citation two-door hardtop, and on top of it, a one-of-a-kind prototype camper thing of the future that someone's grandpa designed called the Aero Cabana. There it is in all of its glory. Don't you love that staircase leading up to it? I mean, that ladder leading up to it, you guys? I know. And it's so like, you know, wind high-speed safe, isn't it? Yeah, that is the Aero Cabana pop-up. Anyway, so the fine folks at Ford actually got wind of it, and they decided, well, we'll show you one. And so there was a little back and forth. Yeah, it's a 1959 Country Squire station wagon, ladies and gentlemen. How much do we love station wagons with fake wood on the side? We love it. Anyway, so you guys, so what happened is then here is the Aero Cabana, all in its full upright and locked position. This gives, oh, no, I know. I mean, it's just like, where do we begin? I know. Oh, sleepover. That's it. I knew there was a line there. This gives sleepover a whole new meaning. Thank you. Yeah, I know. Whew. Everybody doing fine? We're just about in the final stretch, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get to the final stretch, I have to show you. So yeah, the Country Squire station wagon, you saw it. It also pops up. Oh! It's like chitty, chitty, bang, bang, you guys. How would you like to drive around town in this? How would you like to go camping in this? I'm sure this was on display here at the Ford Rotunda in Dearborn, Michigan, which was built for the 1933 World's Fair or Expo or whatever it was in Chicago. And indeed, when the fair was over in 33, they dismantled it and took it in pieces to Dearborn near the Ford Motor Company plant, and it became their showcase there until the year of, well, until one fateful day in 1964. So here's what happened. I was in Detroit. I was talking to this 95-year-old lady. She said, oh, well, I designed curtains with a F-O-R-D logo woven in them to be hung at the Ford Rotunda. And when we wove all the fabric, we made the curtains, and the curtain installers took them over there. And the next day I went there to inspect what they did and to see how glorious these 3-story tall Ford Motor Company curtains looked there. And all be darned anyway, she said, they hung them upside down. It said Ford upside down. It was my worst nightmare. And then she said, and by the way, next day, building burned to the ground. Yeah, well, apparently it wasn't her. It was indeed they were hanging in Christmas lights or something inside the house of the future. I mean, the car of the future. This is the Ford Giron of 1961. It only has 2 wheels like a motorcycle, except it's a car, a 2-passenger car, and it has a big giant, no doors. It just has the roof lifts off. Hopefully you don't slam your finger in that. Not only that, it has 2 chaise lounges for seats. And not only that, it doesn't have a steering wheel. You just think the direction you want to go. But anyway, yeah, so I love show cars of the future, of the past, don't you? Well, this is my favorite. Here it is right now, 1951. General Motors, styling chief, the great Harley Earl, gave us this one-of-a-kind, his own personal car, which became a prototype for many cars, or details from it became a prototype for many cars that followed in the 50s. Under his regime, under his watchful eye at General Motors. It is the LeSabre. It's called the LeSabre. It still exists to this day. I've known it, so one of my great goals in life was, please let me be able to at least sit in the LeSabre. It's my life. It's my dream come true. I want to do it. Please, please, please. So long story short, I weaseled my way into the General Motors Heritage Center in Michigan, and voila, there it was. I took the whole tour. They have like 75 cars on display, including this one there at the General Motors Heritage Center. And at the time, when it was all over, I was just overjoyed because I had been in the presence of my favorite car ever of all time, the LeSabre. So then I said to the curator guy who walked me around, and my friend who was there with me who worked for General Motors, I said, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much. You made a dream come true. I got to see LeSabre. Oh, thank you. And I walked all the way across the big giant warehouse. And as I just about got to the exit door, and the curator guy said, excuse me. And I'm like, me? He goes, yeah. I said, oh. He's like, come back. And I get back over there. I thought, did I break it? Did I do something wrong? What did I do? And he goes, you haven't sat in your favorite car yet. Voila, there it was. Careful what you wish for in life, you guys. Your dreams may come true. Yes, goals are important. Ride the rocket ship of your own life into the stratosphere of your own reality. The world is your wonderland to discover, and here we are in the brand new Tomorrowland of the year of 1967 at Disneyland. We have arrived. This is Tomorrowland. This is the best place. When I was growing up, Tomorrowland at Disneyland was the best place I ever went. and the place where all other places were judged against. I mean, it was nirvana. I cannot believe, though, recently my mother said to me, do you remember where we were in 1969 when you were like, what, 5.5 or whatever, and man landed on the moon? And I'm like, no. She goes, you don't remember where you were when you saw man land on the moon for the first time? I'm like, no. She said, we were in Tomorrowland at Disneyland. They had big giant monitors up. So anyway, there it is in all of its glory. The rocket jets were going around, spinning around. They were scary. We loved them anyway. The People Mover was a little slow. We loved it anyway, and we see it from my all-time favorite attraction, the Carousel of Progress. Yes, another recycled attraction from the 1964 New York World's Fair. And finally, we see Mr. and Mrs. Tomorrowland, and we all know there are no guarantees in life. Just because you and your mate are Tomorrowland does not mean that you will not have a Frontierland child. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we have this. This is my all-time favorite attraction, the Carousel of Progress at Disneyland, which taught me how to, I paid attention, to look through the layers of time, which is what I've dedicated my life to, in search of the stories and glories, the artifacts, the treasures, the people, and everything else that goes along with the mid-century realm of our great American culture, you guys. Cheers to them, cheers to you, cheers to it, cheers to all of us, and thank you so much for joining me for Addicted to Americana. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. And remember, are we still live? Don't forget to exit through the gift shop, you guys. There's some stuff on my website, including the Addicted to Americana book. Until next time, it's Charles Phoenix saying thank you for joining me. Behold the glory. We're addicted to Americana.